news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top stories this half hour. Utah write-in candidate Phil Lyman is asking whether Governor Spencer Cox's campaign paid someone else with his last name to run against him to confuse people. KSL News Radio's Adam Small explains.
North Salt Lake residents Richard and Carol Lyman filed to run as write-in candidates for governor and lieutenant governor a week ago. Phil Lyman posted on his X account a text message from someone who claimed Governor Spencer Cox's campaign paid Richard Lyman $1,000 in a steak dinner to run against him. Spokesperson for Cox's campaign told KSL that claim is not true, and Carol Lyman responded to both KSL TV and the Deseret News via text saying she paid their write-in fees, not Cox's campaign. She also said they're not related to Phil Lyman, that she's aware, and said, quote, "I've always been proud of my name, and the negativity of his campaign is causing me real embarrassment." Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump will debate each other in Philadelphia tonight. Here's ABC White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
Both teams well aware that tonight is likely to be the largest audience of this campaign, and the candidates go into this very much with the same goal, to reach out and sway those key independent voters, but they're preparing to do it in very different ways. Harris's goal tonight is to define her plans and then pivot and put the spotlight on Trump and his policies, while Trump is hoping that he can hit Harris on her record. Trump's team is also hoping he can stay on message, while Harris is hoping she can needle him and throw him off course.
We'll have continuing pre-debate coverage here on KSL News Radio, and of course have follow-up coverage for you tomorrow morning. Your money at this moment, the markets are mixed. The Dow now down 203 points. The S&P is off but less than a point, and the NASDAQ still in the green by about 26. Coming up, another 90-degree day, but it looks like we only have a couple of more to endure here. We'll take a closer look at your forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Jim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcast? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Yeah, stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things, uninterrupted at amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we don't say 2 birds with 1 stone. We say 2 damages with 1 deductible. With us, if your home and auto are both damaged in 1 storm, you only pay 1 deductible. And we should probably stop using stones for that sort of thing anyway. Talk to a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent about our 1 deductible advantage at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Time for that look at traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, all the crashes in Utah County have cleared. Northbound I-15, one was in Provo, one in Lehigh. You may still have a few residual brake lights showing up as people go past those areas, but overall, it's not adding any time to your commute in Utah County. As you get into Salt Lake Valley, though, you might still have some brake lights showing up as you get to Bangerter Highway, and again from Midvale into South Salt Lake. Live at the Eccles presents Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in concert, featuring Casey Elliott and the One Voice Choir, September 26th to the 28th at the Eccles Theater. Tickets at liveeccles.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures expected to get up to 92 degrees today. The afternoon heating will create some buildup in the clouds and a slight chance of some showers. Parts of the valley yesterday, my neighborhood included, got about 0.2 of an inch in a hurry. Tomorrow, we're going to be in the lower 90s, and then temperatures will drop all the way down to the lower 70s by Thursday. We're there now, 73 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
There's a new indication that Americans are feeling the squeeze, the continued squeeze of inflation, Dave, and this is going to have to be front and center at tonight's presidential debate. Both candidates are going to have to address this. And here's that indicator. $10,680. That is how much credit card debt the average American is now carrying, much of this due to the high costs of lots of different products.
So if you've got $10,000 in debt, you're paying 20% interest on that. That is $2,000 a year just in interest that you are paying when you're carrying $10,000. And some of these cards have 30% interest, so it is brutal. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Well, he's been charged in Georgia. The 14-year-old alleged shooter, police say, killed 2 teachers and 2 classmates at his high school. Law enforcement paid him a visit last year after somebody apparently in his household made some threats about an online shooting, or some online threats about shooting up a school. We now have body camera footage from police meeting with both the 14-year-old and his dad.
Do you have weapons in the house? I do. Are they accessible to him? They are.
And I watched this video, Debbie. It's about 20 minutes long, the interaction. They start off talking to the dad. They bring the kid out. He's like, shucks, I don't know. I don't know. I've never used Discord. I've never used that social media. I've got a TikTok. And what stood out to me is this wasn't a combative, confrontational interaction with police. Police are being very reasonable. Who would have known that such evil could have happened just a year later?
Countdown. 2.
Tonight, it is really all about the undecided voter. That's what the debate both candidates are going to have to focus on, is swaying the undecided voter. At 9:35 in our lineup, Democrats' top leader in the state of Utah calling the show on Harris's strategy to win over those undecideds. In the 11 o'clock hour, top leader of Utah's GOP, the Republican Party, calling in to talk about Trump's strategy to sway the movable middle. And then Dave and I asking you, do you plan on watching tonight's debate? Well, you can even listen to it right here on KSL News Radio.
I didn't even know that they were on.
It's just not something of my interest.
We're just going to see who has the stronger points and probably discuss it. And anyway, make our decision from that.
I wonder how many people are truly that way, where you haven't decided, and this is the debate that's going to flip it for you. I want to know, why is this debate the reason that will push you one way or the other? Are they going to say something? Is there going to be that aha moment? Because I haven't seen really many aha moments at debates, except for the last one, when President Biden gave me that aha moment and gave the rest of the country an aha moment. that had him step away.
Launch countdown 1.
Our top story, the 3 Lymans now running as write-in candidates in Utah. There's Phil Lyman for governor. Then there's the mother-son duo of Carol and Richard Lyman running for lieutenant governor and governor, all spelled Lyman. First, we're going to talk to KSL News Radio's Adam Small about how we got here. Then, if you write in a Lyman, do you need to include the first name of your Lyman of choice?
Because we do have to figure out, does this impact anything? Does it confuse anything? And I'll tell you a little bit of story of how something similar happened back in 1943 with John F. Kennedy.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Launch.
Commence.
Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
And our top focus this morning is the 3 Lymans as write-in candidates and how we got here. Adam Small joining us in just a few seconds to walk us through what he knows. But first, what we do know is that Representative Phil Lyman won the Republican convention vote, but lost in the primary to incumbent Governor Spencer Cox. Then Phil Lyman becomes a write-in candidate. Then, on September 3rd, another Lyman enters the race as a write-in candidate for governor. His name is Richard Lyman. And then, as well, his mom, Carol, files for Richard's lieutenant governor.
Adam Small joins us right now from KSL News Radio. You've been reporting on this, Adam. Do we know are these Lymans even related?
So according to Carol Lyman, actually, after all of this started to blow up yesterday, Deseret News, KSL TV all started reaching out to them. Actually, I think Daniela Rivera on Investigates tried knocking on their door, didn't reach them, but she responds in a text saying, to my knowledge, we're not related. So these are completely, so we're talking about a mother and son, Carol and Richard, and then Phil, who are not related. And she basically says, we decided to do this because we didn't really want to vote for either Governor Cox or Phil Lyman for governor, and we wanted, to put our names on the ballot, whatnot. But yeah, as far as I know, they're completely different people.
Now, I want to back up just a little bit because I read through Representative and write-in candidate for governor Phil Lyman's post on X. And he questions if the Cox campaign recruited and paid Richard Lyman to do this, saying, and Phil Lyman alleges that he was contacted by 2 individuals who provided info to him that Richard Lyman was recruited and paid by the Cox campaign and paid like $1,000 and a steak dinner. Now, the Cox campaign told KSL that Phil Lyman has a habit of making accusations that these are blatantly false, and this is no exception. Have we been able to independently verify these supposed text messages that Phil Lyman posted on X, alleging that there's some sort of payment made for this?
That's the hard thing, is all of us haven't been able to figure out exactly who these 2 people are, because he shows their first names on just screenshots from his phone on iMessage, James and Richard, who give him this information. So really, it's Phil Lyman sharing these 2 text messages and then adding on, because it wasn't just sharing them. He took another shot at the Cox campaign, basically accusing them of this is another cover-up and all these things.
But the Cox campaign came out and said, this is false.
Yeah.
Right. And Carol Lyman has provided a statement saying that she paid for her and her son to run, correct?
Exactly. The Cox campaign responded saying,
she paid the fees.
Yeah, so Carol responds that, yeah, I paid the fees myself, not the Cox campaign. It's just, both of them vehemently denied what is coming out of this post on Lyman's.
But the bottom line is right now, Adam, is that Richard Lyman is a write-in candidate for governor. Phil Lyman is also a write-in candidate for governor. Richard's mom is his running mate as a write-in candidate for lieutenant governor. And I guess the big question now is,
does that affect in any way the county clerk's job? Does it make it more confusing as they're trying to count up the write-in votes? And we'll talk to Lanny Chapman next, the Salt Lake County clerk, and figure out, is this going to make it any harder for her to do her job? And will there be too much confusion on which Lyman gets the vote?
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
You know Master Electrical Service. They've been around since 1954. Well, we have some exciting news. They've joined forces with Mountain Home Services. So there's some incredible one-stop shopping for your electrical needs as well as your HVAC.
That's right. With their combined forces here with Master Electrical Service and their decades of experience regarding all of your electrical needs, like now your EV chargers, of course, the generators you guys have been talking about installing in your home, the new recessed lighting that you need. Another Master Electrical Service has teamed up with Mountain Home Services. They can help you with even more.
Yeah, and I had my furnace installed by Mountain Home Services, and it's been humming along beautifully. They did the service on it for years, and I've just been so happy with their work. As you mentioned, that upfront pricing guarantee is still there, 100% satisfaction guarantee. They are the company that we trust, and so can you. Mountain Home Services is where we go. MountainHomeUtah.com is the website. That's MountainHomeUtah.com.
Or you can give them a call, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Pumpkin spice, anyone? Autumn can mean tasty lattes, sure, but also BYU football, colder weather, and how about a little presidential election?
Rock the vote!
For all the spice you need this fall. Start with Tim and Amanda, mornings from 5 to 9. Then David Dujanovic, Boyd Matheson, and Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news as you drive home. Coming this fall on KSL News Radio.
For over 133 years, Central Bank has been a cornerstone of Utah County, providing generations of families and businesses with trusted community banking services and are more than just a bank. Central Bank is part of Utah's legacy. With 12 convenient locations across Utah County, Central Bank combines the strength of traditional customer service with the convenience of modern technology. Customized one-to-one service means you're never just another account number, and your phone call actually rings to a real person.
Hi there, thanks for calling Central Bank.
Voted best bank and best mortgage in Utah Valley, Central Bank is here to help you with all your financial needs. From top SBA lending services for small businesses and quick turnaround times on construction loans. They're dedicated to helping you build your future. Whether you're cheering for the Cougars or building your dream home, trust the bank that's been here since the beginning. Central Bank, strong, local, secure, since 1891. Online at cbutah.com or any of 12 Utah County locations. Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. Myth. You might have heard that you need to spend a fortune these days to get a powerful computer. Correction. At PC Laptops, we wanted to prove that wrong. So here's the most amazing deal that we've ever done at PC Laptops for you in over 30 years. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Take one home today. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Are you looking for a night of pure entertainment? Visit Abravanel Hall for the Utah Symphony's Pop Series. Each concert is special, featuring guest artists like vocalists and dancers set to rock, Broadway, or film music performed by the full orchestra. These genre-bending performances bring you pop culture with a symphonic twist. See the full lineup now. UtahSymphony.org/pops.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, Utahns brought home medals in 4 different events at the 2024 Paris Paralympics. Second, new data shows Utah has the 3rd lowest hospital capacity in the country. And third, the debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump takes place tonight in Philadelphia. We'll have continuing pre-debate coverage here on KSL News Radio. We're going to look for a high today, warm at 92 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, it's 73. As we get you back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic, Utah's top political story. Special coverage with David Dujanovic.
So David and I talking about the 3 Lymans as write-in candidates for political office in Utah. Adam Small just walked out of studio after giving us a debrief on what's going on here. The bottom line is we have 3 different Lymans, 2 of them running as write-in candidates for governor.
Now, write-in candidates, to say it's a long shot if you were ever to win something as a write-in candidate is such an understatement, right? I mean, this likely won't affect anything because write-in candidates are such a long shot anyway. But this does remind me of something similar that happened back in 1943. Let's take a little time warp to John F. Kennedy's very first congressional race. He's trying to get this is the Democratic congressional primary in Massachusetts, and he's running against a guy named Joe Russo. He's a city council member. He's an undertaker. He's popular. And sure enough, a little bit into the campaign, another Joe Russo enters the race. And there was some whispers of somebody hired the second Russo to confuse the voters. But there were straight up 2 Joseph Russos on the ballot. And it kind of reminds me of what's going on right now. It's like, oh, there's 37 Lymans that are on the ballot. There's 3 now. There's 3 write-in candidates, all named Lyman.
Okay.
What happened?
All right. So we've been discussing how we got here, and we've been covering it all morning long, including on Utah's Morning News. But in a nutshell, Representative Phil Lyman, won at the Republican convention in the spring. He did not win in the primary against incumbent Governor Spencer Cox. So Representative Phil Lyman, candidate for governor as a write-in candidate, continues his campaign as a write-in candidate. Well, about a week ago, another Lyman enters the race for governor as a write-in candidate. His name is Richard Lyman, and his mom, Carol, says she's paid the filing fees for her and her son to be running mates. She'll run for his lieutenant governor, and Richard Lyman is now a write-in candidate for governor. So we have dueling Lymans on the write-in ticket. Lyman, they both spell their names the same way. Carol has, as Adam Small reported just moments ago, told us in a statement that it doesn't appear that there's any sort of like close family relationship there, and that she did this. She paid the filing fees for her son to run as a write-in candidate. She's running as his lieutenant governor because they didn't want to feel good about voting for Cox or for Lyman.
And Phil Lyman is making allegations that Governor Spencer Cox and his campaign in some way enticed or encouraged, maybe with $1,000 and a steak dinner, that was the claims, to have the other Lyman join the race as well.
Oh, but we have to note that the Cox campaign has come out and said that's just not true.
Exactly.
And also Carol Lyman, again, running with her son for governor and lieutenant governor, has also said that she paid the fees. So she's like, everyone has been reaching out and has been asking about claims that we are being paid for this. We want everyone to know that Governor Cox's campaign is not paying us. I, Carol, actually paid the fees for both of us, period. We're running to make a statement. People keep asking if we're related to Phil Lyman, and last Sunday someone asked, and it was the last straw that broke the camel's back. I've always been proud of my name, and the negativity of his campaign is causing me real embarrassment. Richard and I talked about it, and decided to run so that we had a candidate we could feel good about voting for, because we don't feel good about voting for Cox or Phil Lyman.
Joining us right now, Salt Lake County Clerk Lanny Chapman. And Lanny, I am interested. Does this make your job any harder, that when there is a write-in candidate with the same last name, does that change anything for you guys?
You know what? It doesn't really. We have some pretty good laws and pretty good procedures already in place to ensure we are fully grasping the voter's intent when it comes to write-in candidates. So for a write-in candidate, we want to make sure that we understand what the voter intends. If they wrote Lyman Clausen, clearly we know that they intend to vote for Phil and Natalie. However, if they fill in the write-in bubbles and write Lyman, again, the intent would be that they're voting for Richard and Carol. And that's how we, along with my other 28 clerks throughout the state, will be handling write-in candidates.
So when you talk about write-in, does a voter actually have to write down the person's name, or are they filling in a bubble with Phil Lyman's name beside that bubble, or Richard Lyman's name beside that bubble?
For a write-in candidate, their names will not appear on the ballot.
Okay.
The voters absolutely have to write in the name, fill in the oval next to it. There's going to be a space for write-ins. It will have an abbreviation, Gov for governor, LG for the lieutenant governor for that candidate, so that we can make sure that we are clearly understanding the intent of the voter.
So let's say that Phil Lyman was the only candidate, the only write-in candidate available, and the voter wrote in Lyman. That would be sufficient, right? You would understand that the intent was to vote for Phil Lyman. You could get away with just Lyman, correct?
Correct.
So
But
now that we
a
have
couple
multiple,
Lymans,
yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, that just adds to it. So again, any legally qualified write-in candidate, when we're able to verify the voter's intent, that's who we're going to make sure their vote counts towards. So there's two lines. We're lucky that it's not Lyman, and Lyman.
Right.
That would make it a lot more complex. But again, since Phil Lyman, his running mate is Natalie Clausen, if they wrote Phil and Natalie, or if they wrote Lyman and Clausen, we would know what their intent is. Same with Richard and Carol. If they just wrote Richard and Carol, again, we would know what their intent is.
Well, thank you for laying that out for us, Lanny Chapman, Salt Lake County Clerk. And Debbie, I think the point she's making, and this is Phil Lyman's complaint, is now there is confusion. Whereas someone could just write in Lyman before, now it's got to be more exact. It's got to be Phil Lyman or Lyman Clausen, or so the simplicity of just saying, "Oh, I want Lyman." Before the recent filing, that would have been enough, but it is not now. Now you have to be specific about who you're voting for.
So I want to know, when is the last day to file as a write-in candidate? Maybe that's something that our producers in the newsroom can track down between now and the end of the show, as we continue to seek more details about, when's the last day you can file as a write-in candidate? Because this came, Dave, I don't know about you, but this came out of the blue at me. Phil Lyman has said he's going to be a write-in candidate. He's on the ballot. Or he is done all the work to be a write-in candidate, and then lo and behold, what is it, about 6 days ago, the Richard Lyman and Carol Lyman, who live really quite hundreds of miles away from Phil Lyman. Phil Lyman is from more the southern part of the state, and they're from more the northern part of the state. They go in. I think they're going to look that up. So they go in. Did
Already
you find
found
it?
it.
Oh, what is it?
65 days. No later than 65 days before the general election.
Have you done the math on that? What day
Well,
is
we're
that?
at 55 days right now.
Oh, so did they just barely meet the filing deadline?
Yeah, I don't know when they filed it. At least this story kind of broke recently. It was past the deadline, but Yeah, according to the
the reporting
le.utah.gov, it's 65 days.
Well, the reporting that we've been talking about says September 3rd is when they entered the race. Does that make sense? We'll have to double check that. Yeah, we'll double check when they actually filed. So is that something our producers can run down? You guys run down and figure out, if you don't mind, when they actually filed to run. And you said, so the deadline's passed.
Yeah, it is. We're 55 days out from the general election, and at least according to the legislative website that talks about write-in candidates, it says no later than 65 days before the date of the regular general election.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at our top stories this half hour. New data shows Utah has the third lowest hospital capacity in the country, but experts are trying to find solutions.
If you take the rate of hospital beds available per 100,000 people, Utah has the lowest rate than any other state except Washington and Hawaii. According to data compiled by the Salt Lake Tribune, Utah's actually added just under 2,000 beds since 2016, but we've also added about 400,000 people since then. The head of the Utah Hospital Association says many of our hospitals are working to expand, plus many of them are trying to get more patients in and out the same day to free up beds quicker. Ultimately, he says our hospitals are looking to the future and how to meet the needs of this population as it gets older. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says changes need to be made with Israeli security forces after a U.S. citizen was killed during an anti-settlement protest in the West Bank.
Now we have the second American citizen killed at the hands of Israeli security forces. It's not acceptable. It has to change.
The IDF says the 26-year-old was likely shot unintentionally by security forces. Your money at this moment, the markets are still mixed, although the Dow has gained back some of the earlier losses. We're down 142 points now on the Dow, up 10 on the S&P, and the NASDAQ is up this hour by 80 points. Coming up, we'll check the forecast. A few more days in the 90s before the temperatures drop and some cooler air comes our way. KSL News Time, 9:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Just the other day, I was talking with a new acquaintance, and I mentioned I had let go of 70 pounds of fat weight with the help of my friends at Soda Weight Loss. And I showed him a picture of me from this same week last year. He said, "Wow, you don't even look like the same person anymore. You look younger now." One of my relatives, who I hadn't seen in person in a couple of years, said I look taller now. Well, I'm not alone. Clients at Soda, which is spelled S-O-T-A, look and feel 10 years younger when they let go of the fat. I'm living proof of this, but you can see for yourself by going to SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTAweightloss.com. Check out the thousands of before and after pics. While you're there, click on the Request a Nutritionist callback. And within minutes, you'll be talking with someone who truly wants to help you get in the best shape of your life. You want the fastest and most permanent results? It's not with injections, drugs, or pills, and it's not with fad diets, because you almost always gain the weight back once you stop. I got rid of my excess weight in just 5 months, and now 6 months later, I'm still right where I want to be. Get started now and look great for the holidays with SOTAweightloss.com, because Soda is state-of-the-art.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
It's complicated. These days, that's how people even describe their relationship status. When it comes to the latest complexities in your car, it's gotten really complicated. The experts at AMCO undergo the most rigorous training to stay on top of the latest car technologies, so there's nothing we can't fix. Well, except for that complicated relationship. When it comes to that, you're on your own. AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free.
Hi,
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples can print everything for my business.
Sure can.
And the quality is guaranteed?
Absolutely.
Plus, you'll beat any price quote. Is that right?
For sure.
How about this one?
We'll beat it.
Can you print menus, signs, and flyers?
Sure can.
How about blueprints?
No problem.
What about red prints?
Not a real thing.
What if they were?
We'd print them, and they'd look amazing.
Now at Staples, print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. Ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details and staples.com/price match for in-store price match guarantee.
At the UPS Store, we understand the importance of a first impression. That's why we're here to help you put your best foot forward and be unstoppable with our printing services. With high-quality paper stock options, banners, business cards, menus, and more, we make sure your small business stands out and your message reaches the masses. After all, we're the one-stop prints that pop store. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today and get your print on.
Time again for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Here again is Heather Kelly.
Well, Tim, traffic is still struggling a bit on northbound I-15, trying to get backed up to freeway speeds. This is between 90th South and Sandy, up to about 33rd South and South Salt Lake. You also have your typical congestion areas on Bangerter Highway near the 201 freeway, as well as Legacy Parkway northbound, where we still have road construction between North Salt Lake and Centerville. When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing exceptional service from 4 dealers. Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Truck Country. See performancebountiful.com. I'm Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Another warm day today, 92 degrees, tomorrow 93, but that might be the last of the 90s because by Wednesday, 71. Lots cooler air coming in. We will have some 80s over the weekend, but 70 both Thursday and Friday of this week. We have some clouds in downtown Salt Lake City this hour and 72 degrees. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
They were just following up where we left off moments ago about the new write-in candidate for governor, Richard Lyman. Shares the same last name, although does not appear to be related through family with Phil Lyman, the other write-in candidate for governor. And we just asked our producers to verify, like, when is the final deadline to declare a write-in candidacy for in Utah for this election cycle. And here we pulled up I don't know how many pages is this thing, a 44-page election guide. And on page 23, right, Dave, am I reading that right? Page 23 of this guide is in bold print, write-in candidates. And the deadline to declare a write-in candidate is 5 p.m. on September 3rd of 2024. So the deadline was 5 p.m. on September 3rd, 2024. What does their official write-in declaration say, Dave, for a date?
September 3rd. So it looks like they made it. Yeah, and there's a seal, the lieutenant governor's seal that was stamped. It was a notary as well was present. So a lot of people may not realize that to be a write-in candidate, it's not enough to just write somebody's name in. There has to be a declaration of write-in candidacy. The lieutenant governor has to announce to all the lieutenant or county clerks who the viable write-in candidates are to be counted. So just so you know, you can't go in there, write in Debbie Dujanovic and think that she's going to be elected governor. It's not how it works. There's some paperwork involved, and it looks like everyone hit the deadlines just in time.
The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Well, I really feel like for both candidates tonight who are taking center stage at this debate, maybe the only presidential debate, both former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris have to speak to what Boyd Matheson always refers to as the movable middle. Those who are either undecided or might be swayable.
Which surprises me that there's still swayable people out there. I would think after so much time has passed, two well-known candidates. You'd think that everyone would pretty much have their minds made up, but there is a little sliver of people that either haven't made their mind up or, they're just kind of keeping it close to the vest. They're not sharing who they're really going to vote for.
Tom DeSiren is the executive director of the Utah Democratic Party. Are you going to be watching tonight, Tom?
Oh, yeah. And I will say we've got watch parties across the state. We invite any Utahn to come and visit us. At one of those, you can go to UtahDemocrats.org and find a watch party near you.
What will you be looking for in this debate?
I think that really what we're going to see is the vice president talk a lot about freedom. That's been a really big message for her. We have a ton of placards from the national convention that just say freedom. I think that we're going to see her really paint the picture that this is an election about freedom versus control.
I've felt all along, though, Tom, she really has to roll out her economic policy in some regard. I realize it's a debate, it's timed, but there's still a swath of voters who don't quite understand what she stands for on the economic front. Would you agree with that?
I think that one of the issues that she certainly had is that this is just such a compressed timeline with President Biden, taking himself out of the race. I think that she's had to really, make the case for herself to get Democrats to go and nominate her. When she's done that, we are starting to see a lot of things, a lot of her policy proposals come out. And I think that she will talk about that. And I think that is really focused in the lens of freedom. The freedom to go and, people in my generation to be able to buy a house, the freedom to have the American dream. And, she has been talking, advocating for new child tax credits for new parents, making sure that the federal government can help first-time home buyers. And she's going to be focusing on helping regular Americans save money rather than Donald Trump helping big corporations get tax breaks.
Do you think she'll lean into the past 4 years of the Biden-Harris presidency, or do you think she will focus almost exclusively on her vision for the future?
I think that she needs to go look forward, not back. The Biden-Harris administration has done a lot of great things. There's so many major bills that will have huge reverberations over the next, 50 years. But, I don't think that I don't think that it's a good idea for her to look back. I think that any candidate in a debate needs to go and present their vision for the future.
Tom DeSiren, thank you for joining us, Executive Director of the Utah Democratic Party.
And if you can't make it to one of the watch parties tonight, we will carry the debate live right here on KSL News Radio starting at 7 p.m. You can also stream it on the KSL News Radio app. And I want to make a note that lets you know that we will be speaking live with Robert Axsom of the Republican Party here in Utah in our 11 o'clock hour to ask what he will be watching for in tonight's debate. But we do know there will be people who aren't watching tonight's debate, thanks to the reporting of our very own Don Brinkerhoff.
I asked several people if they were planning to watch or listen to tonight's debate.
Nope, I'm not really into politics.
I didn't even know that they were on.
It's just not something of my interest.
Sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with politics.
However, I did find one woman who says she will be watching with her husband.
We're just going to see who has the stronger points and probably discuss it. And anyway, make our decision from that.
Trinda Carlson is one of the people the candidates will be targeting this evening as they try and reach those who are still undecided. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
I forget not everybody watches the Super Bowl. Not everybody carries, a little mobile app and tune in to every single, political campaign. Not everybody is you and me, Deb. Not everyone is like, all right, we're listening to it tonight and then we're going to talk about it. I forget that there's people out there that just don't care about this debate.
Well, maybe they're burnt out on politics, or maybe they have their son or daughter's, ball practice to go to tonight, and they've got other things going on, or they're just kind of worn down, not sure that they're going to learn anything from the debate. So let's ask our listeners. Let's take a poll, a straw poll. Are you going to watch tonight's debate? Why or why not? 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live phone calls in 3 minutes.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
You're going to chuckle when I tell you about this. So I joined Salt Lake City Fat Loss because I wanted to lose a bunch of weight. And they said, we have the secret to losing a pound of fat every day. So many clients will lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month. I lost 57 in 60 days. And here's what's going to crack you up. I looked forward to getting on the scale every morning. Like, if you've ever tried to lose weight, isn't that the worst experience ever, getting on the scale? I like getting on the scale because the results were so great. It was exciting. You know, some days I'd lose 2 pounds and other days I'd lose 0.2 pounds, but it was fun. It was going down, and the results were so great. It kept me motivated to stay on the plan. So if you're interested in losing a bunch of weight like I did, Salt Lake City Fat Loss, they have this unique way to lose weight in a healthy, safe, and natural way. No surgery, no injections, and no prepackaged meals. You're not hooked into some meal plan where you've got to buy it and they send you food. No, that's not how it works with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. So if you're interested, you want to see some big results, results vary, of course, but I tell you, I haven't met anybody that hasn't seen big results. Go to their website, slcfatloss.com. If you use my name, Dave, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program. Just go to slcfatloss.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at the Mountain America Expo Center, Thursday, September 12th through Sunday, September 15th. Come see new 2025 models and special closeout pricing on all 2024 models. Bring a can of food for the Utah Food Bank and get $1 off per can, up to half off adult admission. Unplug from distractions and plug in to your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
This song doesn't have a name, but if it did, it'd probably be something about togetherness, because it's a collaboration, not between pop stars and producers, but between music therapists and kids. Music therapy is a treatment that doesn't involve medication or needles, and it's been proven to help children manage pain and contribute to faster healing. So it shouldn't surprise you, it's our favorite song. And just one way we partner with you for a life well lived. Intermountain Health. The power of we.
Bet you never thought about this before. Do you think you could survive as a family living month to month at poverty level? Well, could you? Community Action Services and Food Bank's Circles Initiative presents the No Poverty Summit, September 19th from 9 to 4 at the Provo City Library. Participate in an immersive poverty simulation and discover how much it can change the way you think about poverty. You'll also hear from First Lady Abby Cox, former Utah State Senate President Wayne Niederhauser, Utah State House Representative Marcia Judkins, and Joanne Goldblum, author of Broken America and the founder of the National Diaper Bank Network and the Alliance for Period Supplies, about how we can create better opportunities for people to obtain financial stability. Tickets are $15 and are available at casfb.org. Community Action Services and Food Bank's Circles Initiative actively assists those who need support to rebuild and transform their lives. Get tickets to the No Poverty Summit, September 19th, and learn more at casfb.org.
Master Electrical Services, home of the upfront pricing guarantee.
Have you heard you can listen to your favorite news podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Enjoy shows like The Daily, Up First, and Consider This, available ad-free on Amazon Music. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free. That's amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, a 17-year-old Farmington High School student is in a medically induced coma at Primary Children's Hospital after falling 30 feet from a tree. Second, Utah write-in candidate Phil Lyman is asking whether Governor Spencer Cox's campaign actually paid someone else with his last name to run against him to confuse people. And third, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump hitting the debate stage tonight. We'll air that debate for you live at 7 p.m. here on KSL News Radio. 92 for a high later this afternoon. Likely we'll see some showers here and there as well. Right now it's 73 with some sunshine in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff kind of took to the streets to ask Utahns if they'd be, going to be sitting in front of the television tonight or listening to the radio to the debate. And what he found really got Dave and I talking. Like, how many people actually watch the debate?
I'm just wondering if you're planning to watch the presidential debate.
No, at this point, I don't really need to watch it to know who I'd want to vote for.
No, I already have enough going on. I don't need that to add to the stress.
I'm not. I just don't want to. I don't like listening to him.
That was the answer I got with all but one of the people I talked with about tonight's debate. But Trinda Carlson says she and her husband are planning to watch.
Hopefully one of them performs well, but we have to see. Keep an open-mindedness and see what's going on.
She and her husband will discuss the debate after it's over. She wants to hear how the candidates are planning to handle things like the economy and border security. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
I was kind of chuckling when I listened to that because I forget, not everybody listens to it the same way you and I do, Debbie. I just kind of assumed, everybody sits and watches it because ratings are high. There's millions of people that listen. But I wondered, how do you listen? Do you sit down, bucket of popcorn, and watch it from start to finish? Do you pop in and listen to 5 or 10 minutes at a time? Is it playing on in the background? Or do you flat out turn it off if you see it? We're taking your phone calls. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. No judgment, by the way, folks. Like, don't be embarrassed if you're like, no, I absolutely will not listen, or I just listen to pieces, because I'm genuinely interested in why you listen or the way you listen to the debates. Let's start off with Troy in Tooele. Troy, what do you think about the debates? How do you watch them?
I'm not going to watch it.
No, nothing. Why not?
I mean, I already know what's going to be said. Depending on the reporting, people who are reporting on it, I already know what's going to be said on after the debate. But I mean, I've heard the policies of Trump. I agree with the policies of Trump. Camilla's making up her policies as she just goes, and Trump can explain how he's going to do things. Camilla can't. So I'm not gonna waste my time with the debate.
So you're talking about Kamala Harris. Thanks so much for your phone call. And I guess you're not the movable middle.
Yeah.
I think really both candidates are going to have to focus not on the decideds, but on the undecideds, the voters that are watching tonight who could possibly be swayed in one direction or another. And let's face it, according to the latest Times Siena poll, they are neck and neck. Kamala Harris sits at 47%, according to that poll. Donald Trump sits at 48%. So tonight could be a deal breaker one way or the other.
When you said they're going to be focusing on the movable middle, I totally agree with you. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I wish they would not, because it's pandering. If you ever are going after one certain group of people, you are 100% pandering to that audience. What I wish they would do is take the question and then just genuinely answer it as if nobody else in the room mattered. You just answered, this is my philosophy. This is what I think. This is my vision for the future. Because when you're just trying to find that little sliver of people and you're making up, I think they care about this. I think they want to hear about that. I think that makes for a terrible debate. I just want to hear genuinely, what is your vision? Regardless of who is listening, just tell me what your vision of the future is.
801-575-TALK is our call line. Give us a call. Dave wants to know how you watch the debate. I want to know if you're going to watch the debate, because what we found when our own Don Brinkerhoff went out and asked people is that some people are not going to be watching or listening to the debate tonight. For those of us who kind of live in this world, and we'll talk about the debate tomorrow and give our takes on how each of the candidates perform tonight, what they say tonight, we'll be watching the debate like it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we just talked to the Democratic Party chair, and he said, there's going to be watch parties. So join a watch party. Everyone join for the debate tomorrow night or tonight. And I was thinking just the last time around when I was watching the debate, it was very interesting. I'm sitting down. I was actually over at my mom's house. We had just gotten done playing some pickleball. So I'm sitting down. I'm watching the debate. I'm taking notes. But everyone in my life was in and out. They would watch for a few minutes, and then they would leave and go do some things, and they'd watch, and they would all kind of talk in the background. So it wasn't a real focused way of watching it. And I wonder how many people out there do that exact same thing, where they maybe have it on in the background, they'll watch it for a few minutes, and then move on.
On our KSL News Radio text line at 57500, we always invite you to send us a text if it's safe to do so. This listener, Dave, says the only thing they will do tonight is badmouth each other. And at the end, we still won't know their plans for the country and how they plan on doing it. Yeah. That's how I think a lot of people feel about debates. It can turn into, be downgraded into a name-calling fest.
Let's go to Scott in Evanston. All right, we're stretching outside of the valley here. Scott, what do you think? How do you watch it?
I have it set to record. I really don't put a ultra-high priority on it, but I think it is important, and I do plan to listen to it at my convenience. I don't know that I could ever vote for Donald Trump, so the question is going to be whether I can stomach voting for Kamala Harris or not.
So you will be watching it at some point.
Yes.
But you're not going to be sitting in front of it like Dave and I will be tonight, like it's the next Super Bowl. But that's good. I think you'll be able. What I like about debates is you get to see, you get to see it firsthand. It's not chopped up in small sound bites, that you're going to see the next day in the morning news or network news on network television. You're going to be able to watch it in its full context.
Let's go to David in Murray. David, how do you watch it?
I'm going to listen.
You're going to listen.
On
KSL News Radio,
right.
my man.
Good job, David.
Exactly. I'm going to be doing things constructively, and I'm just going to be listening. But I kind of wanted to give a vote to I can't stand to listen to that man. I can't stand his face. I can't stand his voice. I can't stand his gibberish.
But you'll be listening anyway.
On the radio, sure.
Yeah.
But I just cannot stand that man.
Well, thanks for your phone call, David. Keith in Salt Lake City. Are you going to be watching?
Yes, I will. And, I just kind of want to know how they're going to address the fact that he is a convicted felon and if he's going to respond to that. Because, think about down the road in the future when we have another presidential candidate who is a convicted felon and people are like, Trump was a convicted felon, so the fact that I shot somebody shouldn't be a big deal, or the fact that I, stolen something shouldn't be a big deal. The fact that I'm a convicted felon, is that the kind of candidates we're going to have for our president, for the president of the United States?
Well, I have no doubt they will ask about that. I would be shocked if that is not brought up, and I would anticipate that we would hear Trump say that it was a political witch hunt, and you'll have Kamala Harris say it was absolutely appropriate. I would be shocked if that isn't brought up in the debate in some way.
Straight ahead, we are going to be talking about some new body camera footage that was released from a encounter in May of 2023 between law enforcement in Georgia who had gotten a tip about some online school threats. And for the first time, you'll be hearing how the father of the alleged school shooter in Georgia reacted when cops knocked on his door.
You want to step out where you can talk real quick? So we got a tip from the FBI saying that
somebody from your old address over there in Traditions that made a threat to shoot up a school.
How he interacted with police in the 10 o'clock hour.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A 17-year-old student from Farmington High School is in a medically induced coma at Primary Children's Hospital after falling 30 feet out of a tree. Molly Bell tells KSL TV her friend, Sky Sidaway, is an amazing athlete with records in cross country and track and field. She's hoping Sidaway can recover because she has so much more to accomplish. A GoFundMe account has been set up now to help the Sidaway family pay medical bills. Ogden police asking for help solving a cold case from 11 years ago. Robert Soto was found dead along a sidewalk in 2013. Police never identified a shooter or a motive. Officers now releasing the details they have on social media, hoping with someone with information will be able to contact them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Hundreds of people have been evacuated in California's Orange County as wildfire rages on in blistering heat. What's called the airport fire, encroaching on radio and cell towers on top of Mount Santiago, prompting the evacuation of more than 1,400 homes. Poor air quality and limited road access has forced the closure of schools in at least 2 districts. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day now, 358 points. The NASDAQ is down by about 60. And our KSL weather looks like another pretty warm day, but there's a 30% chance of a thunderstorm. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie.
I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age.
Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcasts? Good news! Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things Uninterrupted at Amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
On September 12th, 1995, 12-year-old McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas. It was a crime that shocked the community because the suspect was so unlikely, so unexpected.
Former high-ranking police official, he'd run for sheriff at one point.
Law enforcement personnel were pretty much split down the middle over whether or not he actually did this.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, still feels that justice was never truly served.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Things are looking pretty good right now all across the Wasatch Front, although we've just had a report of a crash southbound I-15 right near the 201 freeway split. Haven't seen any delays from it yet, but you might want to use caution as emergency crews may be arriving there soon. And then you've got good speeds on the east and west side belt routes, I-80 through Parley's Canyon. We are seeing a bit of congestion, though, on State Street as you go through Midvale. The BYU Department of Dance presents World of Dance, featuring BYU's finest ballroom, contemporary ballet, Native American, and folk dance ensembles, September 19th and 20th at the Marriott Center. Tickets at byuonstage.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see partly cloudy skies with a high of 92 and a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon. Then south winds tomorrow, and a cold front moves in on Thursday. That'll drop our daytime highs into the low 70s. Right now, 79 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're going to listen to body camera footage from an encounter that authorities in Georgia had in May of 2023, so more than a year ago, with the father of the now accused school shooter in Georgia. Of course, that shooting happened last week. Multiple people shot, 4 people killed in that school, Appalachian High School outside of Atlanta. And what's been found is that this body camera footage existed. And, of course, it's now been released to the media, Dave. And it shows police having that initial encounter back in May of 2023 with the father of the alleged shooter and also the 13-year-old boy who would become the alleged shooter just last week.
And part of what makes this so interesting is this father was charged 36 hours after the shooting, which to me just seemed incredibly fast. So I thought, oh boy, they must have access to information that is so damning that they had no choice but to charge him. So I was very interested to see what that evidence was. And this video, I think, let's listen to some, and then I'll give you some of my reactions to it. But I'm glad that they still had this on file. This was more than a year ago. And I'm glad that this police body cam footage is still out there to watch the interaction between police and the father.
And I think it's important to also remind our listeners why police were at this home, that the FBI, through its National Threat Assessment Center, had received a tip of some online threats to shoot up a school. And the way they did their tracing, they determined that it could be this 13-year-old kid who would eventually become this alleged school shooter last week, who put those tips online. This boy denies it. The dad also talks for quite some time to police about it. But that's how we got to the point where the cops in the county of Jackson County show up at this family's door.
I am. You want to step out where we can talk real quick? So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address over there in Traditions that made a threat to shoot up a school.
For real?
Yes, sir.
What? Tell me what.
You have any kids or anything living here?
Yeah, Colt Gray.
Colt?
Yeah, Colt. He's my oldest son.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Are they accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are down. We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so I'm pretty much in shock, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm a little pissed off, to be even really honest with you. I don't know anything about him saying like that, and I'm gonna be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away.
And then all the guns will go away. But that's not what happened. Eventually, he ended up buying his son a rifle. It sounds like it was for either a birthday or a Christmas present. He bought him a rifle because, as you heard, they have guns in the house already.
Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, let's bring you in right now to talk about this body camera footage. There's more of it. But at this point, we're hearing the dad interact with police, and he does sound concerned. Now, fast forward to last week, he gets charged with second-degree murder counts, almost like he's an accomplice for buying that gun that was allegedly used in that shooting for his son around the holidays last December. Will this video, where he seems so concerned, I know it was, a year and a half earlier, will that help his case, his defense?
I think it's sort of a two-edged sword. It can help his defense because he tells the police, I'm angry, and if there's truth to this, the guns will go away. I mean, he's telling the police the right things. Hey, I'm surprised. I'm angry. I'm going to do something about this. It doesn't sound like something my boy would do. I'm completely caught out of the blue with this. Of course, they're getting this online, somebody's online at their old address, which is probably turned out to be the boy, but he's saying the right things. On the other hand, the other side of the sword, he's on notice. The FBI said something's going on at your house. We've got somebody's going online from your address, your old address, making threats or at least some allegations that there's going to be a school shooting. Dad, you might want to do something about that. And what does he do? Maybe he buys the kid a gun. And, of course, now he's been charged, so the FBI or the local authorities there must have some more information about his involvement in this shooting.
And as I'm watching this video, it's about a 20-minute interaction between the police, the father, and then the father goes and gets the son, Colt, and he comes out, and the police question the child as well, the kid. And remember, this is a 13-year-old. I mean, I have a 14-year-old, and so this is very, very close to me because I know how young that is. And a 13-year-old, very, extremely young. And they bring him out and they start questioning him, and they don't just let him off easy. The police tell him how dangerous this is and how much trouble he would be in if this were true.
I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how wherever this is coming from is no joke. Yeah. Like, it's no joke.
But we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know. And I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. Okay. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah, scary.
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school. Just put it there.
Hey, Colt, what's going on, bud? So did your dad kind of explain everything to you?
Said something about shooting up a school.
Did you say something about school shooting?
Never. I just told him. I don't know what. Maybe they misheard somebody else. I don't remember to say that.
It's kind of hard to hear him there, but they are interacting with 13-year-old Colt Gray, who at the time steps out of his home to talk to police about why they're there.
And he's denying everything. The police say, hey, we're talking to you about this. There were some threats about shooting up a school. He's like, I don't know anything about that. I've never been on it. And this was a different house, apparently. They had moved. Greg Skordas joins us, our KSL legal analyst. As you're listening to this, I'm glad we have this because this wasn't a confrontational, police interrogation. This is a conversation that was happening between father, son, and the police.
Right, and the police did the right thing. I mean, they're telling this kid, look, because he's in denial. I don't know where this is coming from. It may come from someone else. They know that it's coming from the house. I mean, they know what's going on, but they make him. They stand him up and say, you don't have any problems. You're not doing anything. This isn't something you're thinking about. This is very, very serious. I mean, they're stressing on him. Hey, we're on to something here. I mean, there's more here than just meets the eye. So maybe we should make sure that you're okay. And the kid assures them over and over, it's not me. I'm not having those thoughts. And so I think the police handled it appropriately at the time based on the information they have. Fast forward a year, I mean, everything went south.
Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst, thanks for jumping in studio with us to walk us through your thoughts on how this video, might help the dad and his defense. You said, on the other hand, it might not.
Right.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that plays out in court. Straight ahead, there's been a development regarding the mom of the suspected shooter as well.
This is fascinating because, again, the father was charged immediately, within a day and a half of this terrible tragedy happening. You may be wondering, okay, well, where's the mom? What role did she play? You're not going to believe it. She called the school 30 minutes before the shooting in desperate distress, warning them, she claims, that something dangerous is going to happen and that they should reach out right now and take their son out of class. And that didn't happen. We'll hear from the mom next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Hi, Doug Ryder. When you're going out for a special occasion, you want to make sure that the ambiance is perfect, the food is absolutely prepared to perfection, and your service is superb. Well, you get all that at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. That's why when we're having a special event in our family, whether it's an anniversary, a birthday, or just a celebration of a graduation, whatever, we make sure to make a reservation at either Hotel Park City and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse or the location in downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple. Nobody prepares a meal more beautifully and more deliciously than Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. This is the place where you can say exactly how you want your entree prepared. Let's talk steaks for a minute. Maybe you're a rare, maybe you're a medium rare, or a well done. They'll make sure that it's done just right at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
3 letters. B-Y-U. BYU goes for win number 3.
3, that's a magic number.
BYU is on the road for Game 3.
It's the magic number.
Against the Pokes of Wyoming.
3 times 1.
BYU, Wyoming. Pregame starts Saturday at 5.
That's the magic number.
And kickoff is at 7 on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
When it comes to our homes, stains in your carpet can be really frustrating. It can be easy to think you need harsh chemicals or detergents to get them out, but these always leave behind soapy residue, which ends up attracting more dirt to the area. That's why you should trust Zero-Res to get out tough stains and regularly clean your surfaces. Zero-Res uses ZR water to deeply clean carpets without any icky residue. Right now, mention KSL and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning for just $109. Plus 20% off air duct cleaning. Book now at zerores.com.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this. 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income. And it's all because they filed for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you could avoid this with a free, customized Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions, 5-time winners of the Best of State Award. If you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. You know, for some people, filing for Social Security early could result in more net income in retirement. Discover how you could get the most income from Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a track athlete from Farmington fighting to recover from her serious injuries after falling 30 feet out of a tree. Second, another large wildfire burning in Southern California, this one in Orange County, where hundreds of homes have been evacuated. Third, a couple with the last name Lyman says they're running for governor as write-ins, but they say Utah's incumbent governor had nothing to do with that.
79 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We've been talking about the latest developments in the shooting in Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia last week. We just listened to the body camera footage of a police encounter with the dad and now the accused killer back in May of 2023. And now we want to talk about what the mom tried to do, or says she tried to do, in terms of alerting the school before her son, now accused of killing 4 people, opened fire.
And this story is got my mind going in a million different directions, because if the father is being charged for the negligence of the actions of his son, will the school be held liable in any way for their inaction? Because the mother called them 30 minutes before the shooting and said that there was an extreme emergency. Take my son out of class. He's been texting me about shooting up the school. This was 30 minutes before the shooting. So are they liable? Are they negligent? Is the school negligent?
I just want to follow up with that, Dave. This is the mother's version, and we're
Yes.
going to walk through the mother's version. There have been numerous national news organizations reporting on this, and we're gonna walk through the Washington Post's reporting on it in just a moment. But I also want to make it clear, we spent time this morning going through different media reports, and CNN reported that they reached out to the Barrow County Sheriff. His name's Judd Smith. We heard him talking about the shooting after it happened. He had previously said he had no knowledge of any phone call to the school before the shooting, but that, the version of events of what happened and the timeline of events is under investigation. So I want to make sure we're clear that what we're going to be talking about is the mom's version and the family's version of what she said happened. However, there's also been other reporting from ABC News to suggest something was going on inside that school before the shooting that would indicate maybe there was some kind of a warning.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, the Washington Post has an excellent article that we're pulling from right now. But apparently there was a 10-minute call, and the Washington Post says they have looked at the call log from the family's shared phone plan that says that they see a 10-minute call to the school starting at 9:50 a.m., so about a half an hour before the shooting.
Yeah, and then the mom said, I was the one that notified the school counselor at the high school. This is what she said in a text to her sister following the shooting, which happened on September 4th. So mom texts sister, the mom of the now accused gunman. I was the one who notified the school counselor at the high school. And they've looked at a screenshot of that text exchange, the Post has. I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him.
She told the counselor that her son had been talking about a school shooting that very morning, and that the school administrator actually went to the son's math classroom. And this is where it gets a little bit strange. So they're taking it seriously. The school administrator goes to the son's math classroom to check in on him.
And that's where we want to touch base now with ABC News' Faith Abube, who's been in Winder, Georgia, to fill in the gaps on that part of the story.
His mother, Marcy Gray, speaking to ABC News overnight, saying she tried to get him the help he needed. The aunt telling the Washington Post that during the 10-minute conversation, a school counselor told Marcy Gray that her son had spoken about a school shooting that same morning. Classmate Lila Ciarath telling ABC News that a school administrator confiscated a backpack of a student with a similar name.
A little bit later, he came back in with his bag. And he said that they weren't looking for him, they were looking for Colt.
Moments later, the accused teenager allegedly opened fire outside the classroom door.
And I'm trying to figure out how does that happen, right? How do they get confused with the name if in such a serious situation, I get mistakes are being made and mistakes happen, but when a parent calls and says, listen, my son has been talking about shooting up a school. This is an extreme situation. Go find them. I'm surprised there wasn't a lockdown. I'm surprised there wasn't more than just an administrator going through trying to look at somebody's backpack.
So what you think should have happened was that the school goes on lockdown. All of the teachers in their classrooms make sure the kids are hiding. Doors are locked. Blinds are pulled where they need to be pulled. And until they figure out what this threat, if there is a threat, is, and they call in law enforcement, everybody's in lockdown.
Isn't that what we do? If there is a threat, if we know about a threat, if there's a bomb threat, we don't just go try to investigate it on our own, do we?
Find who called. Or,
We don't, there's a bomb threat,
point.
let's have the school administrator go figure this out. So, again, I understand. I don't know how often these kind of things happen, but nevertheless, there are things that could have happened. And the mother, the fact that the mother, and this is what she's claiming, called in a panic, it sounds like, saying, go get my son right now. It should be all hands on deck trying to find that son.
So my take on this is, first of all, the confusion over when they went to that math class and grabbed the wrong kid's backpack that speaks to me, the size of high schools now. There's so many kids. Yes. It's hard to keep track. Administrators don't know all the faces. If a student's absent a lot, they don't know who they are. So that to me spoke to schools are so big. You think about even, people in our own buildings. Sometimes you walk by somebody new, you don't know who they are. We don't introduce ourselves anymore, just kind of generally in society. We just kind of walk by each other. So there's that element of it.
I think
of our
it's
high schools are
almost
so
2,000
big.
people.
Yeah.
To your point, Debbie,
Yeah.
This high school is about 2,000 people large. We're early on in the school year, and he's a freshman.
So that's probably those are some factors that are working against
For
the
sure.
administrator
Yes.
that went down to try to figure out, who was responsible for this situation or who they needed to pull out of class. The second thing I want to note here is that, and we're doing this in Utah schools too, we're putting in panic alarms. It is potentially a really great resource to notify law enforcement. We still have yet to see how this will roll out because this is a relatively new piece of technology that schools are adapting under a Utah law for more school safety, adding more layers of school safety. But what I hope for schools is that truly their first line of defense against this is a relative, a phone call. See something, say something, but it goes beyond that. They see something, they say something, then there needs to be an immediate reaction. There needs to be a mechanism or a plan in place for what schools will do if that phone call comes in. And every single tip is taken seriously, right? Until you're able to dispel it, investigate it, figure out it was nothing to it. Every single tip is taken seriously. When it comes from mom and dad, comes from grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle, somebody who knows that child way better than obviously the school administrator did, who didn't know who they were looking for, allegedly. There needs to be an all hands on deck immediate reaction. And Dave, I think going back to what you said, a lockdown.
Well, and think here in Utah, we have the Safe UT app that high school kids, elementary school kids have access to. If there is a threat and someone sends a message, how seriously are these being taken? Because I understand it is a disturbance and it's a big deal to lock down a school, and news media will know about it, and kids will be tweeting about it and making TikToks about it. I get it. But the fact is, if there is a threat and you're going to take it seriously, then let's really take it seriously.
Well, and you got to call in the people to investigate it.
Absolutely.
I don't think teachers, school counselors, front desk receptionists, the principal.
Is it a resource officer?
Yeah, unless they're like trained FBI agents, which they're not. They've been in education their whole lives. They need to be able to make sure those children are secure and then call in authorities right away who are capable of investigating these threats. So we'll continue to follow that and see how that unfolds over the next couple of days. But I think it makes for an important discussion, and it really makes me stop and think, like, what else are we doing when that phone call is made from mom, when that phone call comes in from dad, when you get an email from grandma or grandpa? What are you doing to immediately initiate everything you can, the layers of safety that you need to implement the moment somebody reads that message? Yeah, it makes you wonder if they could have stopped that shooting.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. This evening, people get their first and possibly only chance to see Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump on the debate stage.
I'm just wondering if you're planning to watch the presidential debate.
No, at this point, I don't really need to watch it to know who I'd want to vote for.
No, I already have enough going on. I don't need that to add to the stress.
I'm not. I just don't want to. I don't like listening to him. That was the answer I got with all but one of the people I talked with about tonight's debate. But Trinda Carlson says she and her husband are planning to watch.
Hopefully one of them performs well, but we have to see. Keep an open-mindedness and see what's going on.
She and her husband will discuss the debate after it's over. She wants to hear how the candidates are planning to handle things like the economy and border security. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The victims of the 9/11 attacks were remembered in a ceremony at the Pentagon this morning. More than 200 people died there when an airliner deliberately crashed into the building 23 years ago. In all, about 3,000 people died when airliners hit the World Trade Center and another crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day now 349 points, while the NASDAQ is down about 38. And our KSL weather. There's a chance for a thunderstorm this afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Lowe's knows it's easier to make the right calls when you have the right team. That's why our Lowe's Red Vest associates can help with game time decisions. Plus, use in-store mode on the Lowe's app to find what you need. Under pressure at home and want it soon? Order online by 2 p.m. to get it same day. Same day valid on eligible in-stock items and select zip codes only, subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. Exclusions and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
September has come and fall is here. Make this new season the time when those extra pounds and inches fall off of you. Soda Weight Loss will assist you without drugs, without injections, without side effects, or the return of those pounds once you stop taking the medication. My fall with Soda Weight Loss was 37 pounds, falling away in 90 days. I'm over 2.5 years into my journey, still 37 pounds down. I've never felt better. The results don't lie. The difference will surprise and amaze you. So let a Soda Weight Loss dietitian help you get ready for the winter holiday season by using the fall season to get the pounds and inches to fall off of you and to become a better, healthier version of you. As I always say, when it comes to your Soda Weight Loss journey, there is no time to lose, especially in this season, only time to win. So start winning today. Your healthy tomorrow starts today. Make the decision that will change every day for the rest of your life. State-of-the-art weight loss. Start it today at sotaweightloss.com.
Because of a surgery I had, it put me in a position where I had to learn to walk again. I had no hope for any more income. We had an IRS burden of about $36,000. With no income and only enough money to keep paying the bills, we had to make a decision. I was driving home from Salt Lake one day and I heard a commercial on the radio about Jordan Wilcox. I got home, my wife and I, we talked about it, and we made the decision to give Jordan Wilcox a call. We met with Jordan at his office, and they had a plan in place for me almost immediately. And because of the good work of the folks at Jordan Wilcox's office, that burden was reduced to about $895. When we found out that it was only $895, it was like the worst burden in the world had been taken off from our shoulders.
Don't face the IRS alone. I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Visit taxhelput.com to schedule your free consultation. Let's solve your tax problems. That's taxhelput.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Things are still running smoothly all across the Wasatch Front. We've had a couple of calls for some accidents, but they appeared to be very minor and haven't affected traffic flow at all. You're going to have good speeds on the east and west side belt routes around the Salt Lake Valley. No problems in Parley's Canyon or coming out of Tooele County on I-80. The Utah RV Super Show is back September 12th through the 15th at Mountain America Expo Center. Unplug from distractions and plug into your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy with a high of 92 and a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon. South winds tomorrow, then a cold front moves through on Thursday. That'll drop our daytime highs into the low 70s. Right now we're at 78 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Is Russia threatening Sweden with nuclear war? That's the headline on the opinion piece that we're going to talk about, written by the opinion editor of the Deseret News, Jay Evenson. Dave?
Jay, I'm so fascinated by this because you actually returned from Sweden. You have family in Sweden, and you were taking care of some family matters there. But you've experienced this in a way I think is important, because here in Utah, when we think about the Russia-Ukraine war or Russia's threat to Europe, we are very removed. We are very removed. What was it like for the surrounding countries that you experienced?
You're right. We're so removed from it here, and they are kind of right in the thick of it. And so just about every day in the national newspapers, there's some story, some twist on this. And I was reporting on the island of Gotland. And Gotland is Sweden's largest island, and it's right smack dab in the middle of the Baltic Sea. And if you go straight to the east, you get to St. Petersburg. And if you go a little bit to the right, you get to Lithuania. To the left, you get to Finland. And Gotland, it is said that whoever controls Gotland controls the Baltic Sea. Vladimir Putin was furious that Sweden and Finland entered NATO. And now Sweden and NATO are beginning to militarize the island of Gotland. And that has him very concerned. And so I think he's sending out his proxies to make threats and say, look, if you militarize this island, it's going to end up in a nuclear war because we want control of the Baltic Sea.
Well, this would be a scary threat to live under. What was your take when you were there? You were there for quite some time too, Jay. How are people dealing with this? Is it?
Well, it's like anything else. You know, you get used to it after a while. It's not like people are walking around talking about it all the time. But if you stop people and talk to them about it, they are very concerned, and they are very afraid of Putin. And they're also very concerned about our elections coming up in November because they want to make sure the United States is still all in defending NATO countries. So that's the only thing keeping Vladimir Putin from attacking Gotland now is the NATO agreement that says if you attack one country, then everybody has to defend it. So there's a lot of concern over there, and it's not just about Russia, it's about us as well.
Jay Evenson's joining us right now, opinion editor at the Deseret News. For Sweden, Russian aggression is a daily worry. is the opinion piece, Jay. And I think we have, when the war first happened, we were covering it all the time. We were talking about the march on Kyiv and giving updates in a very regular way. Now we never talk about it. We haven't talked about the Russia-Ukraine war in months. How would you describe the sentiment, or how do the Swedes feel about our involvement, or maybe the sentiment here in the United States when it comes to Russia, and kind of in some ways our apathy toward that war in many ways?
This was actually my third trip to Sweden in the last 12 months, so I've been there a lot. And I was there last March when it became official that Sweden became a part of NATO. And there was a really, it kind of gave you goosebumps, an interesting show of unity. They sent an American bomber, and at very low altitude, like just a couple thousand feet, flying very slowly over Stockholm, and it was accompanied by a group of Swedish fighter jets. And the message to the people was that now you're in NATO, and now we've got your back. And a lot of the people I talked to there were very reassured by that, and felt grateful for that. So they're very happy to be involved with the United States now in protecting them against Russia. I don't know that they are fully tuned in to how apathetic we are about the war, because they're not here and they're not watching our media and they're not talking to people every day. But they feel that we are 100% behind them. But they hear the rhetoric from some of the Republicans now talking about not wanting to support the war in Ukraine anymore, or not wanting to support NATO nations. They want people to know Sweden spends 2.2% of its GDP on defense, and the goal is 2%, so they're above that. And of course, Mr. Trump has said he wants NATO countries to pay their own way. They're doing that in Sweden, and they want Americans to know that. But I don't think they're fully aware of just how little we think about that conflict over there.
Could you expand on that, on their military assets? It sounds like they do spend a significant amount of money. Do they have the means to defend themselves against a Russian attack?
Well, they're a small country.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's 10 million people in Sweden. It's geographically about the size of California. But they've spent centuries now as an independent, neutral country. And when you're neutral, they've taken their defense very seriously, and they have a very large and powerful air force. But I don't think they could take on Russia by themselves, no.
Part of what is interesting, because former President Trump has said oftentimes that the United States cannot fund this war exclusively, that everybody needs to step up and pay their fair share. And it wasn't until the former president started talking that way that you saw NATO countries start stepping up. You say Sweden is paying 2.2% of their GDP. Well, Germany just barely hit that.
Yeah.
So these NATO nations are feeling a pressure, and they are stepping up their defense spending when for far too long the United States has carried the financial burden of NATO. So that has been, I think, a fair complaint from President Trump, and it looks like the other NATO nations are recommitting to funding to protect against aggression.
Trump wasn't the first president to raise concerns about that. He was the first president to threaten action if they didn't do it, and I agree with you. And they have stepped it up, but they're concerned over there. They don't understand our politics completely. I'm not sure I do, but they are concerned what's going to happen after November. They really want the backing of the United States and the rest of NATO.
Jay Evenson, thank you for joining us, opinion editor at Deseret News. Great insight, having spent a fair amount of time in Sweden recently. It did surprise me that Sweden, who's, let's be honest, quite removed from Russia. You've got Finland to the east of Sweden, and they're the ones that actually share the border with Russia. But to feel the fear, or to see the fear from the Swedes, I think really speaks to how nervous Europe is with what Vladimir Putin is doing in Ukraine, and how it could expand beyond Ukraine into other countries. So, Jay, thank you for joining us.
Straight ahead, there are two really big debates this week. Tonight, you can hear the presidential debate live on KSL News Radio just by tuning in at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll carry that live. And tomorrow night, you can hear the governor's debate. Yesterday, we talked to the Libertarian candidate who will be on the debate stage, Rob Latham. Next up, Democrat Brian King calls the show in 3 minutes.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Join KSL and the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Layton NPS store at 1150 North Main Street in Layton, npsstore.com.
Winter is coming, but there's still time to replace those drafty old windows before the cold comes and drives up your heating bill. Just make one call and take advantage of the Advanced Window Products Fall Special. $2,500 off on 10 windows or more, and that's $2,500 off their already low factory direct prices, because at Advanced Window Products, they're the factory. Your windows are built in their facility right here in Salt Lake City. You're buying local, and with their lifetime guarantee, you don't ever have to call some faraway state for help. Advanced Window Products is right here, proudly backing up their work. So make one call, save on your heating bill, and get a rebate from the energy companies. Advanced Window Products offers 0% financing. They can even give you amazing new windows with no money down. And don't forget, $2,500 off their factory direct prices, but you have to call now. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcast? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Yeah, stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things, uninterrupted at amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, tonight's debate could be the only time Vice President Harris and former President Trump appear on the same stage during this presidential campaign. Second, the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks were remembered this morning in a ceremony at the Pentagon. And third, schools around Utah struggling to get teachers with the right qualifications into special education classrooms. 78 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic, Utah's top political story. Special coverage with David Dujanovic.
We're airing the presidential debate live right here on KSL News Radio. It starts at 7, so you can listen to that. You can also listen to the governor's debate tomorrow night right here on KSL News Radio. So we've got back-to-back debate nights. We just call them debate date nights.
It's what everyone's doing.
You can
it's all the rage.
Cozy up in the car with your significant other. If you're like me, you just drive around single, listening to the debates
with popcorn, obviously.
With popcorn. I think it's important. Both of them are important. I'll be listening tonight to the presidential debate. I know you will too, as well, Dave. And we will be analyzing, offering our takes on how the candidates did, what they said, what the reaction is from our listeners as well for both debates. Yesterday, we talked to Rob Latham, who is the Libertarian candidate who made the debate stage here in Utah for tomorrow night's gubernatorial debate. In a moment, we're going to talk to Democrat Brian King.
Which was a little bit of a surprise because you had to poll at 10% to qualify for the debate, and Robert Latham came in at 6.8%. So if you're thinking, well, that's not 10%, why did he qualify? It's because it was within the margin of error, which was a little over 4 percentage points. So a surprise guest, a surprise addition to Wednesday's debate was Rob Latham. But joining us right now, Democratic candidate for governor, Brian King. Representative King, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Does the debate stage feel a little extra crowded that there'll be three of you on? You'll be on with Spencer Cox and Rob Latham?
Well, it was a little bit of a surprise that we had Rob Latham join us. But look, I respect the processes that the debate commission goes through. They were out polling people a week or two ago to make sure that they had on the debate stage the individuals that Utahns wanted to hear from, in the sense that they had a baseline of support. So I think one of the things that we hear about is Utahns feel that people in power don't listen to them. And I think too often that's true. And so what we need to do is make sure that a variety of perspectives are presented to people in Utah. If that's what they want to hear, I'm fine with that.
We had asked when Rob Latham joined us yesterday about his top issue. And this is what he said.
Let me find it. Hold
Do we
on
have
a
that?
moment. Let me get it, Dave. I'm looking for it. Sorry, I got it.
I got it.
I'm highlighting my concern with what I call state-sponsored child trafficking and DCFS. I am a family defender attorney. I stumbled into the juvenile courts, and there, not a lot of people go in there. But once you look in there, you realize that it's a problematic space.
So I've got a two-part question for you, Representative King. Number one, do you have any a rebuttal or some thoughts on the role of DCFS? And then what would be your number one priority in the debate that you would like to talk about?
Thank you, Dave. Look, the children of the state of Utah are right at the top of the list in terms of my priorities and concerns. And when you talk about DCFS and when Rob Latham talks about his concern about overstepping and overreaching by DCFS, that's a valid concern. We've got to balance properly the role of DCFS to look after the welfare of children, but we've also got to make sure that they are not over-aggressive in interfering with families who oftentimes are struggling to make ends meet and don't warrant the state of Utah reaching in and disrupting that family dynamic unnecessarily. So sometimes it's a tough balance to strike, quite honestly. I'm open to the idea that we can do a lot better job than we have done at times in the past. So I welcome the debate. That's where it comes down. It's very much a circumstance that depends on the situation involved with a particular family and the children in a particular situation. So you got to evaluate that on a case-by-case basis. But if there are things that we can do to improve how we handle that, I'm all ears. And you asked, Dave, my top priority is going to be making sure that people know who I am, what I stand for, what I have done up to this point in my life, in my legislative career, in my law practice representing everyday people against the largest corporations in our country. That's the kind of thing I'm doing, and I want to make sure that Utahns recognize it's working middle-class Utahns, people who are struggling to get into homes, people who are struggling to make ends meet. That's my first priority, and I want, at the end of the debate, for people to recognize that and appreciate it.
On that note, Representative King, I'm looking at your King for Utah website, and under the tab Better Housing, some of the things that you hit on in terms of your campaign efforts is expanding programs to support first-time homebuyers, new builds in existing homes, and then incentivizing the construction of thousands of starter homes and affordable housing units across the state, both single-family and multifamily. I have to tell you, that sounds a lot like incumbent Governor Spencer Cox's promise is to build starter homes. He's been very vocal about that for quite some time, and also, the legislature, as you well know, because you serve in the legislature, has funded millions of dollars for first-time homebuyer interest-free loans to the tune of up to $20,000. So how is your program here any different than what the governor has already championed?
Well, I certainly think there's some overlap between what we'd like to do on affordable housing and what the governor wants to do. It's a complex problem, is the reality. And there are a number of other things that we can do that I think I'm going to disagree with the governor about. I have concerns about investors from who really have an enormous amount of money coming in and buying second and third and fourth homes for themselves, and through that practice driving up the price of our housing market. That's a significant problem in terms of housing affordability, and I think you got to address it. And I don't come here to say that I have specific concrete answers at this point, but I think we've got to acknowledge that it's an issue, and I don't see the governor doing that. I also think local control on this is an important point, and I see far too many circumstances where the state of Utah wants to do a one-size-fits-all approach and dictate to counties and cities and townships and municipalities in a way that I think is harmful. So there are certainly ways in which I agree with the governor, but there are ways in which I think there's significant disagreement as well.
One of the struggles when it comes down to the local level is a lot of city councils, mayors, they will push back against some of these housing initiatives. They don't want to shrink the minimum lot size. They don't want high-density housing because their constituents are saying, no, not in my backyard. So leaving it up to the cities, at least so far, has been problematic with some of these growth initiatives.
It has been problematic, Dave, with some of the growth initiatives. But you have other cities who recognize the value in attracting a certain type of population, making sure that they have the ability to have children and grandchildren of people in the state of Utah being able to stay close to family. There is a wide variety of approaches among our cities and municipalities, and that's the way it should be. Let's leave it to them to figure it out, because if you have enough cities that say we don't want to have pro-growth policies in our city, other cities are going to say this is an opportunity for us to attract people that we want to attract to our town or our city, and that's okay. So, I mean, that's the way competition works. We need more competition. We don't have enough of it in state government right now, politically speaking. And I'd like to see states and municipalities sort it out on their local level about what works best for them.
Representative Brian King, thank you for joining us. The Democratic candidate for Utah governor. We'll hear from him, Robert Latham, and Governor Spencer Cox on Wednesday for the first and only debate. I think, yeah, it's the only debate.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Thomas. KSL's top story this hour. The Summit County Sheriff's Office has a search and rescue team out in Weber Canyon this morning looking for a missing man. Deputies were sent to do a welfare check after somebody reported their brother-in-law's car had been parked out by their cabin since Thursday, but he hadn't been seen. The sheriff's office is currently there with a team of search and rescue personnel, drones, and a mounted patrol. Phil Lyman, who's running for governor as a write-in candidate, is asking whether Governor Spencer Cox's campaign paid someone else with the same last name to run against him. KSL News Radio's Adam Small explains.
Richard and Carol Lyman of North Salt Lake have filed to run as write-in candidates for governor and lieutenant governor. Phil Lyman has since shared a text message on his X account from someone who claimed to know Richard and that Governor Spencer Cox's campaign paid him $1,000 in a steak dinner to run against Phil. Carol Lyman responded to both KSL TV and the Deseret News via text saying she paid their write-in candidate fees, not Cox's campaign.
Cox's campaign has also denied those allegations. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Federal agency accused the Keurig company of lying about how easy it is to recycle K-Cups. Those are the disposable pods used to make coffee in a Keurig machine. Keurig has agreed to settle the case and pay a $1.5 million civil penalty. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 285 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is down, but just barely, less than 5 right now. And our KSL weather. Another warm day with the chance of a thunderstorm later on. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Gear up for your hunting season with the Shields Hunting Sale event going on now through September 15th. Take advantage of great deals, like getting a free blind bag and gun case with the purchase of a Benelli Super Black Eagle, 40% off the First Light Cypher collection, $100 off Lacrosse Optifade Alpha Evolution boots, and discover so many more in-store and online. Fill your bag to the limit on savings this hunting season, now through September 15th at Shields or Shields.com.
Have you heard you can listen to your favorite news podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Enjoy shows like The Daily, Up First, and Consider This, available ad-free on Amazon Music. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free. That's amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
welcome to Staples.
Hi, I need a printer for the office.
Staples has the best brands, like HP.
Well, I have some demands.
Oh.
Burton Sales demands it be fast.
HP's Office Jet Pro is super fast.
Megan Marketing demands color prints.
Check.
And Kurt the Controller demands I don't overpay.
With Staples Hot Deals, you get up to 40% off select HP printers.
Oh, great. My job can be...
Demanding?
I was gonna say a lot of fun.
Right now at Staples, save up to 40% on select HP printers, America's most trusted printer brand. Ends 9/28.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Things are still looking really nice all across the Wasatch Front, although you're going to run into those orange construction barrels in several places. One of them is Legacy Parkway northbound as you make your way from North Salt Lake into Bountiful. Another is in Summit County. It's US 40 right at Silver Creek Junction. You're down to one lane both directions on US 40. Don't miss the sale of the season, Cerrone's Luxury Blanket Warehouse Sale, Saturday, September 14th, 11 to 6. Substantial savings up to 70% off. Cerronone Warehouse Sale, Saturday, September 14th. Details visit cerronone.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy, high of 92, and a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon. Then tomorrow, south winds and a cold front moves through on Thursday. That'll drop our daytime highs into the low 70s. 81 degrees, partly cloudy right now. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
All right, I only want to know one thing over the next few minutes from Boyd, and that is what he recommends I be watching for during tonight's debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, I have a mind of my own, Boyd, so I'm going to be watching for the things I want to watch for too, but I'm going to add your stuff to my list.
I can't help but think of my last experience, the last debate, which ended up being the most consequential debate in U.S. history, probably the history of debates ever, because it ended a candidate's political career when Joe Biden, with his performance. So there were a few things that stood out to me, Boyd, and I can't help but think about how we watch debates in this country, because my experience when I was watching this, the biggest debate of all time, I'm watching and taking notes, as do you and Debbie. My family was popping in for 5 minutes watching, like, oh, that was a terrible answer. And then they'd be out, and then they'd walk back in, grab a drink of water. And they were watching it kind of piecemeal and thought, how seriously do we take watching debates? Because we all should probably be sitting down with popcorn and taking notes if we were really serious about taking the debate process the way it should be.
Yeah. Funny, I was talking with my friend Pollster Scott Rasmussen this morning. He just released a poll this morning. Only 44% of the voters in this country know there is a debate tonight.
They even know there's a debate.
Know there's a debate tonight. 44%.
And 100% of the media knows.
Yeah.
There's a debate
120% of the media know there's a debate tonight. Right. Yeah. And so that's an interesting place to start of how seriously do we take it anymore? And this actually speaks to the point that some people are just so fed up with it. They're so exhausted and exasperated with what debates have become that they're not going to invest time in it. And so part of that is we've got to keep changing and tweaking this process of debates so we can have better debates and get to the more substantive stuff that I know Debbie is watching for tonight.
That's right. Well, so tell me what you would like for me to be looking for besides my own list.
So I think one of the things that's really important is direction. Direction really matters. So which of the candidates is more forward-facing? So for the Kamala Harris campaign, is Kamala Harris looking back? Is she spending a lot of her time going back and talking about what Mr. Trump did on January 6th? Did she talk about felony convictions? Is she spending all of her time facing backwards? Democratic strategist Donna Brazile was adamant about this yesterday. She said if she spends a minute on that, it's a minute too much. She needs to face forward and make her case. This is her. If she wants to be the prosecutor, be the prosecutor. But don't prosecute by calling names and pointing and going back. Go forward. And for Mr. Trump, it's the same thing. Is the focus backwards? Is it on the grievance stuff and what was stolen and what happened, this and that? Or is it, here's where I want to take you in the future. This is where I want to go. And so I think forward-facing is one of the things I would be watching for tonight. How much time do they spend pointing us backwards to things that already have happened or things we already know versus this is who I am, this is my vision of where we want to go. You might want to get on this train because it's going somewhere that matters.
And what is so crucial about that, Boyd, is just because it's a candidate we know with President Trump, former President Trump, we don't know what the next 4 years would look like because just because in a baseball game, if there's the same matchup or like it doesn't mean it's going to be the same game. It's going to it's going to play out differently even if the teams are well known, even if you know the playbook. How you execute it, that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting because, again, on paper you can say most people know. I think only about 9% of the country says they need to know more information about Mr. Trump. About almost 30% say they do need more information about Kamala Harris. So she still has an opportunity to define herself in a new space. Some people kind of say, yeah, vice president, and what did she do there? And that's hard to quantify, and that gets complicated. So she's got an opportunity to do that. I think the other thing to really watch for tonight is the specifics.
Yes.
Who talks about specifics?
You
and
got
again,
there. Yep.
it's not popular, and it makes you much more susceptible to an attack from the other side. But I think it's the one thing that we have to expect and the one thing we've got to begin to demand from debates, or we should just get rid of them all. Because otherwise we're just watching series of infomercials and commercials that are just worthless. Like it is why most people and why your kids walk in and out, and they don't really feel like they missed a thing because they didn't miss a thing.
Policies should not be a mystery.
Yeah. What a radical idea.
Right? It shouldn't be a mystery. I shouldn't walk away from tonight's debate and
There's
be
your
confused.
bumper sticker, Deb. Policies shouldn't be a mystery.
It's true, right? And that's what you're saying is they need to come out with specifics. I've really felt strongly about that. Like to Dave's point, America knows or feels like they know what President Trump will do or what he stands for in terms of policy. But there is some mystery maybe shrouding Kamala Harris because she hasn't had the runway in terms of her campaign, first of all.
Right.
Also because she hasn't been president.
Yeah.
She's been a VP. And so this is really her chance to bring those specifics.
Yeah, that's right. And that, to me, will be the really interesting thing. So that'll be a piece in terms of specifics, forward versus backwards facing. And then I also think there's going to be this element in terms of the personalities of it. And I think for Vice President Harris, she's had an authenticity gap historically. So she has an opportunity to break that down. And some people are saying, oh, she needs to come out as the prosecutor. Okay to be the prosecutor, but if she comes out in a way that's super aggressive, that does two things. One, it's not very likable. And two, it creates space for former President Trump to do what he does best, which is counterpunch. And he may feel more emboldened if she's coming at him hard and she's the prosecutor, he's the felon, and she's playing that game. I think that's a big mistake. I think she should come out super smart and detailed because we know former President Trump will not be detailed in his answers in a debate. He never has, unlikely to do that. So she could show she's super smart and super specific on policies and she knows her stuff and could kind of run circles that way. For former President Trump, he's got issues with various groups of voters, and so he's got to make sure he's restrained, that he can demonstrate that once again, that he can be restrained on a debate stage, that he doesn't have to succumb to just hurling, superlatives at the opposition or, making wild comments. He's got to be very disciplined to show I can do this from a disciplined lane as opposed to what he's better known for. So I think they both have an opportunity there to connect the humanity portion of the program. And so Kamala Harris has to do a fine line, super strong, super smart, but not anger aggressive. President Trump's got to be restraint as opposed to pejorative-laced name-calling.
Let me just go back a little bit in the final, 45 seconds that we have, and you talk about authenticity. What does that mean? What are listeners and watchers of the debate looking for when it comes to authenticity?
So there's two things they want. One, they want to be able to connect you that I can trust you, that there's a realness to what you're doing. You're not just saying this because you think that's what I want to hear tonight. And so for Kamala Harris, that challenge is going to be where she's got some pretty big changes in positions on things like the border and immigration, plastic straws, fracking. There's some real key pieces there. And so she's going to have to say and be authentic enough to say either I was wrong or my position evolved. My values are this. She can say that. My values haven't changed. But then she's got to say how she got to this new policy position. And what? Because we should actually admire that in a leader. Now, if it's pandering, then the authenticity goes out the window. If you're just telling me what you think I want to hear, or it's a nice soundbite that CNN or Fox News is going to use tomorrow in their highlight reel, that's not authentic.
I want to go back to your point, and Dave said 45 seconds. That was 45 seconds ago.
It's a political 45
I just want to say
seconds.
something. I've sat through so many trials as a news reporter, and I've listened to a lot of prosecutors. Yeah. And there are some prosecutors out there that it can be kind of jarring. They're citing law and code. It's hard for the jury, I've found, in some cases, to follow the storyline. And not all prosecutors win their cases. I've watched many trials where prosecutors have lost their cases. So when you talk about that approach and then authenticity, just talk like you're an everyday person.
That's right.
That's it.
Oh, I love that.
Talk like you're not in a courtroom.
Yeah, don't talk down.
Yeah.
And don't talk from a position of arrogance. Even if you're the smartest person in the room, don't act like you're the smartest person in the room. Be inquisitive. Talk about what you've learned talking with the American people, or how you experience this in a particular way. And the final thing, because I know we're like almost 45 seconds into this, the last thing is the last thing. I think this debate could be won or lost on who knows when to stop. More cases are lost because the prosecutor keeps talking after the point is made. So even if you have a 2-minute segment that you can answer the question, if you make your point and stick the landing 55 seconds in, stop. Stop. Because more mistakes are made on a debate stage or in a courtroom by talking after you've made the point. And I think for both Kamala Harris and for Donald Trump, that is risky space. So just stop.
I heard that lesson from Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian. He said, I can be performing a set at 60 minutes. The audience thinks it's unbelievable. It's amazing, best show they've ever been to. But if I go an hour and 10 minutes, and that last 10 minutes isn't quite great, he's like, they'll walk away like, it was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right. So knowing when to stop.
Stick the landing.
I have yet to meet a politician that knows when to stop talking. I've got 34 seconds left. I'm going to fill that 34 seconds.
Restraint always works.
Restraint always wins. Boyd Matheson, as we're 2 minutes over in this segment. All right.
All right. The chair of the Utah Republican Party, Robert Axson, calling the show next about tonight's debate.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Just the other day, I was talking with a new acquaintance, and I mentioned I had let go of 70 pounds of fat weight with the help of my friends at Soda Weight Loss. And I showed him a picture of me from this same week last year. He said, wow, you don't even look like the same person anymore. You look younger now. One of my relatives who I hadn't seen in person in a couple of years said I look taller now. Well, I'm not alone. Clients at Soda, which is spelled S-O-T-A, look and feel 10 years younger when they let go of the fat. I'm living proof of this, but you can see for yourself by going to SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTAweightloss.com. Check out the thousands of before and after pics. While you're there, click on the Request a Nutritionist callback. And within minutes, you'll be talking with someone who truly wants to help you get in the best shape of your life. You want the fastest and most permanent results? It's not with injections, drugs, or pills, and it's not with fad diets, because you almost always gain the weight back once you stop. I got rid of my excess weight in just 5 months, and now 6 months later, I'm still right where I want to be. Get started now and look great for the holidays with SOTAweightloss.com, because Soda is state of the art.
Get full coverage of the debate for Utah's top job.
Republican Spencer Cox, Democrat Brian King, and Libertarian Robert Latham made the threshold.
Join us tomorrow at 6 as the candidates square off with analysis to follow. Your voice, your vote 2024.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at the Mountain America Expo Center, Thursday, September 12th through Sunday, September 15th. Come see new 2025 models and special closeout pricing on all 2024 models. Bring a can of food for the Utah Food Bank and get $1 off per can, up to half off adult admission. Unplug from distractions and plug in to your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
Protect your little ones while transforming your home. The Blind Man's Go Cordless for Kids sale is on now. Buy 4, get 1 free on all child-safe window coverings, including the popular motorized options. Imagine beautiful cordless blinds and shades that elevate your decor without compromising safety. Their diverse collection of colors, fabrics, and cordless solutions ensures there's a perfect match for every style. Experience personalized service as the Blind Man's consultants guide you in selecting the ideal options for your home. Don't wait. This is your chance to create a safer, more stylish home with the Blind Man's Buy 4, Get 1 Free savings event on all child-safe window coverings and motorization. Hurry, the sale ends October 31st. Visit theblindman.com today to set up a free in-home consultation. Theblindman.com.
From Ogden to St. George, Utah's premier window covering provider, The Blind Man.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Phil Lyman is running for governor as a write-in, but so is a guy with the same last name. His mom, who's running for lieutenant governor, says they pay their own fees to get in the race. Second, the Clerk company has agreed to settle a case over its disposable coffee pods. The government says it lied about how easy they are to recycle. Third, the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square was performing in Atlanta last night with some friends. 81 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Our producer just told us, Dave, that Robert Axsom, chair of the Utah Republican Party, is waiting on the line. We want to ask him what he's going to be watching for in tonight's debate, not only from President Trump, former President Trump, but also Vice President Kamala Harris.
I think when we talk about debates, there's something to be gained from it. And I think we can oftentimes get so exhausted with the process in election season. It's so long, and the vitriol that comes out of it. I think we have to be able to objectively set some of the garbage aside and try to grab the few nuggets. You know, I think of it as a raspberry plant. There's a lot of thorns in there that are going to get you stuck, but you got to be able to reach in and grab the raspberries because there's something there if we can be patient enough to find it.
Rob Axson, good morning.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good. Do you think that this is a raspberry bush and you're going to be reaching in to grab the best raspberries, or how do you look at tonight's debate?
Hey, I think that's a great analogy. There's certainly going to be comments and answers and things said by both candidates. that are there to either inflame the other or engage with some of their base or try to target, specific constituencies. But there are the raspberries, and that's what I would encourage Utahns and folks all over the country to be paying attention to, is to ask those key questions of what they want to see in the country over these next 4 years and what policies they think would be best suited to really drive the future that they want to see for their families, and then see which candidate is making the case and the argument that they will deliver on those.
What do you think is the conservative message right now that is resonating? And I mean more specifically, like, is there a policy that resonates that conservatives can rally around that they think can bring voters to the party?
Yeah, I think there's two core things. You look at the affordability of a household budget right now, and whether we're looking at the affordability of gas or groceries, or the confidence that you have in job security and increased wages. And if you think that things are good right now, then you may be more inclined to listen to what the Biden-Harris administration have been doing and be inclined to listen to Kamala Harris. If, like me, you think that we have certainly taken a major hiatus from the momentum that we had during the Trump administration, then you will be inclined to go with and hear the ideas of Donald Trump and want to get back to a place of fiscal responsibility and fiscal opportunity within a household.
Is there an area that you feel like Mr. Trump could really knock it out of the park tonight?
I think he has to deliver the ability to make that message again of what will be driving most people's attention, which is both their bottom line and money in the pocket, and then also security. And I would bifurcate security into two things. What is your domestic security concerns, like crime? What are your concerns around immigration? And then also, what are your security concerns on the national stage? There's certainly many concerning things affront or things afoot that are happening from various world leaders, and concerns of what type of military intervention could be called upon our country to engage in should be absolutely a concern. And if you feel that President Trump or President Harris would be better situated to protect the American public, I think that will resonate with folks. And I firmly believe that Donald Trump's message and the message of the Republican Party is one of security, both globally and domestically, as well as, like I said, that fiscal opportunity for a household.
We're speaking with the chairman of the Utah Republican Party, Robert Axson, and tonight is the presidential debate. The next night on Wednesday, you'll have the governor's debate, Brian King, Spencer Cox, Rob Latham. There will be three people on the stage. On a local, I want to say a local race. It's not really a local race, but a statewide race. What do you want to hear from the governor and the prospective governors?
You know, the key thing is Utah is a special place to live. It's a wonderful place to raise a family. It's a wonderful state filled with diverse and unique communities, but communities that, for the most part, do well. And we want to see what candidate is articulating a message that really leans into and supports the Utah way and supports the idea of Utah continuing to be a place that's at the forefront of a strong and diverse economy, strong and available recreational opportunities, and just a quality of life that we've been blessed with here in Utah. And I think that Governor Cox can clearly lean into Utah being a place that is one that allows us to thrive, and he has done things and contributed to that process over the last 4 years. And I think he will need to lay out the vision as to why a departure from what he is doing by going with a different candidate would be so dire to that continued benefit for Utahns.
Before we let you go, I'm just curious, watching tonight's debate, and Dave and I will both be watching it. I'm sure you will be too, although you can listen to it if you need to right here as well. But is there a hold your breath moment, Rob, where you're just get a little concerned about President Trump and whether he's able to refrain from, any sort of like name calling while he's on stage tonight? Or does that just go with some of, that's just how it goes sometimes with these debates in general?
They both have their personalities and they both have their styles. And I don't think there's many Americans that look at the styles or personalities of elected officials and candidates and match up exactly with all aspects. So there certainly are some stylistic approaches that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will take that won't resonate with me, but I think it gets back to where we started. That's the thorns of the raspberry bush. Let's get into the raspberries and the substance of that debate. And that's where I think that Donald Trump will thrive in articulating a vision, and one that he has a track record of having delivered on. And Donald Trump's track record is filled with raspberries and positives for the state of Utah and for the country. And Kamala Harris's track record, if you look at it, is one that is deeply concerning and a very strong departure away from the free markets and the individual and collective liberty that we have thrived under as a country.
Robert Axon, thank you for joining us, Chair of the Utah GOP.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your insights. Straight ahead. Speaking of, oh my goodness, the family budget, right? That's what we're going to talk about straight ahead. $10,680. You know what that is? That is the amount of credit card debt the average American is now carrying. $10,680. Some of that's due to inflation. Some of that's due to overspending. Some of that's due to maybe you had a medical emergency. But whatever the case is, Americans are weighted down by credit card debt. We're going to talk about ways to get out of credit card debt with an expert, a financial expert, straight ahead.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Charges have now been filed in the case of a 14-year-old boy who was murdered in Mill Creek. The Salt Lake County District Attorney says 3 adults and 3 teens all facing various charges in that murder and the attempts to cover it up. The DA's office says the teens were all gang members and they shot the victim while he was walking outside a Mill Creek apartment complex late last month. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square spread a message of hope in Atlanta last night, and they were singing with the Morehouse and Spelman College Glee Clubs, both historically black colleges. They joined the choir on stage to help them kick off their Southeastern tour.
I never would have imagined that would happen. I think it's an amazing opportunity.
The Tabernacle Choir member Leslie Darkus tells KSL TV the performance represents milestones made between black communities and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A Delta flight about to take off for Tokyo clipped the tail of another plane on the taxiway at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. This collision knocked the tail right off the other plane. It was a regional jet on its way to Louisiana. Nobody was hurt. The FAA is investigating. Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average down on the day now 198 points, while the NASDAQ has turned the corner and it's now up 46 points. And our KSL weather. A sunny day with a high in the 90s, but there is a chance for a thunderstorm. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Soft water. Let's talk about it. Soft water was something that I grew up with. And I remember every time my mom went to the store, she would buy bags and bags and bags and bags of rock salt, those salt pellets. And my job was to grab those 40, 50 pounds of rock salt, and I'd take it to the water softener, and I'd dump it in. So when I learned about Kinetico of Utah's water softener and how it's designed and how efficiently it runs, I learned that it uses 2/3 less salt than everybody else. So instead of Dave Noriega, a little 12-year-old, hauling 3 bags, I only have to haul 1 bag now. So they're saving my back because of the efficiency of the water softener. But That's just loading up the water softener with the salt that it needs. Let me tell you about the results of having soft water in your house. I will tell you, I've loved it. I love having soft water in the house. You can feel the difference every time you take a bath, every time you take a shower. The soft skin that comes with soft water has been incredible, keeps our skin hydrated. And you know, if you live here in Utah, dry skin is the thing. Like, it is all about dry skin here, and soft water has helped us so much with that. It's great for your skin. We've noticed a difference in our laundry, our dishes, anything of those expensive appliances that hard water just beats up. Think about getting a water softener from Kinetico. It's top of the line. I've loved it. If you're interested, go ahead and reach out to Kinetico through the phone, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Kinetico dealer, and of course you can find them online as well at softwaterutah.com.
Have you heard? You can listen to your favorite news podcasts ad-free. Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Enjoy shows like The Daily, Up First and Consider This, available ad-free on Amazon Music. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free. That's amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews are wrapping up an accident in Midvale, southbound I-15, just after 7200 south on the right. And Salt Lake City PD clearing an accident at 5th North, 1100 West. Visit Maurice Abravanel Hall for the Utah Symphony's Pops series. Visit utahsymphony.org/pops. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy with a high of 92 today. A chance for thunderstorms this afternoon. Then tomorrow, some south winds and a cold front will move through on Thursday, dropping our daytime highs into the low 70s. Right now, we're at 83 degrees with partly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the presidential debate tonight. I think one of the things that both candidates are going to have to address is what they're going to do looking forward to help with our budgets as families. Things have become so unaffordable that so many families are turning to credit cards, Dave, and these are high interest rate credit cards, to the point now where, according to a Wallet Hub survey, the average American is carrying $10,680 on their credit card.
More than 10 grand on the credit card. Probably rolling it at about 20 to 25%. That is a staggering amount of money.
A lot of people taking to social media. I see this a lot on different social media platforms saying, they're restraining their budget now. They're cutting things out of their budget. They're figuring out ways to pay off their credit card debt. They want to get to a point in their life where they're living a debt-free life. And in a few moments, we're going to go into some details and some tips about how to get there. But here's one example we found. A 26-year-old on TikTok explaining how she got to where she's gotten with her debt.
I have a question. How much credit card debt are you in? Because for context, I'm 26. I've been working since 17, paying for my own, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt. And I will be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. I've definitely paid off medical bills and like emergency vet visits and things on my credit card. But it's like people my age have $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Do you see how my eye is twitching?
It should be twitching. It should absolutely be twitching because it's easy to do, though. Because that money, it just keeps swiping and swiping. And then the credit card companies are like, hey, I've noticed you've paid on time for the last 6 months. How do you feel us bumping your credit limit? And you're like, great. Bring it on. Yeah. And then this is where you get in trouble.
Right. So you go from $2,000 credit limit to $4,000 to $10,000.
Well, and as she said, I have friends that have $55,000. Like, how in the world does a credit card company allow that to happen? Like, you should not be giving people that kind of credit limit.
Well, we have to restrain ourselves.
Yep.
We can't rely on the kind hearts of big business to look out for us. We've got to look out for ourselves. It's personal responsibility. Now, in some cases, and not all, but in some cases, there's a reason why, and it could be for a medical reason or something. There's some reason why you went into that high of a credit card. You dipped that high under your credit card limit. The average credit card interest right now, according to Wallet Hub, is 22.76%, which they're saying is just shy of a record high. Okay, so 23% is your APR. If you carry a $10,000 balance, that is math even I can do.
$2,300 a year, just in interest.
It's almost $200 a month just in interest.
Yeah.
On top of that, you're trying to stay ahead of that. You're trying to make the minimum payment. So you're really not getting that much further ahead. And then there's a lot of online calculators out there that would let you know, like, if you just made the minimum payment, how many years it would take you to pay off that debt if you didn't accrue more debt on that credit card.
So last week, I have a 18-year-old, and a 20-year-old, and we went in to get their first credit card. And we sat down, and I gave them the whole spiel. I'm like, credit cards are the devil. They're awful. Don't ever use them, but you need one. You got to build some credit. So we went in, sat down with the banker, and I had gone through this with my children. And when we were signing up, our banker said, hey, can I go through a little bit of how credit cards work? And I said, absolutely. Like, we cannot reiterate this enough times. But it's a catch-22 because we need credit. We need a credit rating. We need a credit score throughout our life for any major purchase that we make. But when credit cards are the avenue to get some sort of credit rating, then that's the real danger there because we don't prepare our kids very well.
I don't want to come across as tone deaf to what's going on because expenses are, everything from you're using your paycheck to, for example, pay your monthly child care expenses, or you've got to put, so it means you have to pay more, put more on a credit card. Maybe now you're using your credit card to make up the gap with your groceries. I did that years ago. I had to, many, many years ago. We weren't quite cutting it. So it was a little bit went on the credit card. Well, after a while, that starts to really add up. Or you're using the credit card to fill up the gas tank, right? Because you got to get the kids to daycare and then you got to get to work. So inflation has destroyed the budgets of many, many families. So I want to recognize that. I will say this as well, is that there was a time in my life, I talked about it on the show, the beginning of my career, I was making $11,000 the first year in my career, $10,000 pay cut to move to Yuma, Arizona to be a TV news reporter. And I was also an anchor, and I was also a weather person, and I was also a photographer and an editor. Anyway, I did all the jobs for $10,000 a year. And I believe my housing expenses at that point ate up 60% of my income, and then I had this credit card debt that was mounting. And again, the interest rate back then wasn't much better than what I'm seeing here on my screen in front of me at 22, 23% interest. So you can see where I was going backwards. There were a couple of things that I learned in that really unnerving experience, right? Because you're just always one unexpected expense away from, I don't know, figuring out, where you can borrow money from. I had to take, once I arrived in Salt Lake City, I had to figure out a way to pay off that credit card. And the best way that I found to pay off that credit card wasn't by working overtime at my job, which I did. It was deliberately taking a second job and assigning every single penny that I earned at that second job directly to my credit card. And that's how I paid it off in a matter of, quite frankly, a few months.
One of the things I love about that story, Debbie, is you weren't taking on a second job forever, right? You had a goal. I'm going to take this job. I'm going to pay this off. So there was an end date. You can grind it out and work a little extra for a few months, maybe even a year or two. But when there is an end date, well, then you can say, I can just power through for a little bit longer.
What I also found with that is my credit card debt went down so quickly, I felt inspired to change my spending habits, to put the wheels in motion to never end up in that position again, to lower my credit limit, which I know there's some arguments that, that dings your credit score. Well, I was at a point that I needed to intentionally lower my credit limit so I didn't get back into that $3,000 and $4,000 or $5,000 range in terms of what was on my credit card, and then go look for a lower interest credit card. Because what was really hurting me in terms of getting ahead on that was my 22 or 23% interest rate. You said it's adding $200 a month just on a $10,000 balance. Well, if I had $4,000 or $5,000 on my credit card, what does that add up to be? A couple $150 a month. Plus, some of these cards have fees, an annual fee. So the more I tried to get ahead, the further I fell behind. But it was taking that second job and assigning every single penny from that paycheck to that credit card that made me feel like a winner. And I learned a lesson. And I've never gotten back into that situation again. And this is almost, 30 years ago.
Yeah, you took some tough medicine. And it's not always that easy. Especially right now, because what's happening is people are taking second jobs just to survive and not go into further debt. So
I hear you.
Not that it's not excellent advice, but there's other ways we have to try to combat it. And we're going to bring on Wallet Hub next. And they have more tips. If you can't necessarily generate more money, then maybe they can take the sting out of some of those interest payments. Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit NPSstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. NPSstore.com.
If you need a new roof, there's a reason IWC Roofing is the #1 residential roofing contractor in Utah. IWC has been replacing roofs for 27 years. They are professionals. You don't get some janky subcontractor fiddling around up there. You get experienced IWC employees on your roof, and they finish most jobs in a single day. They're in, they're out, and they power wash your driveway just to say thank you. Now you're wondering about the price. After all, IWC is one of the few Owens Corning Platinum certified contractors in the entire state, but they offer value pricing, and right now, take advantage of their fall special. $2,000 off your quote. And of course, they'll work with you on financing, so call IWC Roofing, the highest rated roofing contractor in Utah, plus $2,000 off. Right now, call IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Originally developed as an outdoor shopping destination, which opened in 2000, the Gateway has experienced a dramatic transformation since Arizona-based developer Vestar purchased the property in 2016. General Manager Brian Hill shares more.
Since Vestar purchased the Gateway, $100 million has been invested to upgrade and revitalize the development, ultimately transitioning from a shopping center to a lifestyle destination in Salt Lake City. It has become known as a thriving hub of retail, dining, entertainment, business, and arts and culture. It also serves as an integrated campus for some of Utah's most innovative life science companies, as well as Kiln, a co-working space with multiple locations in the West. The Gateway is committed to being a central gathering place by hosting more than 200 community events and cultural celebrations annually. These include everything from Pride Festival and Festa Italiana to July 4th and New Year's Eve celebrations. This fall, we welcome Asher Adam, a boutique hotel that's part of Marriott's luxury collection. This stunning centerpiece is an extensive historic remodel of Union Pacific Station. So even as the Gateway approaches its 25th year, we continue to reinvent it to ensure it stays relevant.
Between the announcement of the 2034 Winter Olympics and all the plans for potential further revitalization of downtown, there are some great implications for the Gateway. We will look forward to seeing the continued evolution. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, murder charges have now been filed in the gang-related murder of a 14-year-old boy in Mill Creek. Second, 2 planes clipped tails on a taxiway at the Atlanta airport. The tail was knocked right off the smaller plane. Nobody was hurt. And third, just as we're getting into hunting seasons, Utah is seeing a big increase in poaching. 83 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and I going right on the money with Wallet Hub in just a moment. We've been talking about credit card debt and the $10,680 on average that Americans have on those credit cards, just weighing them down. And inflation is making it difficult to get out from under that credit card debt. So in a moment, Wallet Hub is going to give us some tips on the best 0% transfer credit cards out there.
Okay, this is going to be very helpful. It's something that I've actually done, and it was fantastic. I do wonder with tomorrow or tonight's debate, the presidential debate, do you think we're getting to the point at some point someone's going to say we're going to forgive credit card debt? Like the proposal of forgiving student loan debt. Do you think someone's going to say, well, if we're forgiving that debt, we're going to start forgiving credit card debt as well? Because the United States, we have over $1 trillion in credit card debt. So you said almost $11,000 on average is what it is. And how we're trying to get out of it, it's difficult. But to speak specifically about ways to get out of credit card debt, joining us right now from Wallet Hub and editor Christy Mathern. Christy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Let's talk about those 0% transfer cards. Wallet Hub's done some analysis on the ones that your organization considers to be the best ones. But let's start here. I want to get to that in just a moment. How do they work, and what are some of the red flags that we need to be aware of before we just run out and open up a new line of credit?
Those are good questions. Well, basically, what these cards can do for you is they can stop your current credit card interest rate in its tracks for a while and kind of allow you to pay it off without adding more interest, which is super helpful. But the card you choose to transfer your debt to matters a whole lot. And you're generally going to need to have good credit or better to get a good balance transfer offer from like a major bank. So those are all things you need to keep in mind before you go shopping for a balance transfer card.
So when you say you have to have good or better credit, what score should I be shooting for?
That is generally 700 or higher. It's not to say that you can't get a credit card with a lesser credit score if something else makes up for that, like if you have good income or one of the other factors that they look at. But generally, you're going to want a 700 or better credit score.
And are these 0% APR credit cards we're going to talk about, do they have a window of time where the 0% sticks and then it goes away?
Yes. So every 0% APR on a credit card is temporary. Every single one. No credit card has zero interest forever. So these 0% intro periods are going to be, anywhere from 12 to 21 months long. So that gives you that amount of time to pay off your debt, and you really want to be in the $0 balance range by the time these things end, because they do have regular APRs that kick in after this. So good to keep in mind.
The one that I joined many years ago, the 0%, I think it was 18 months. It was pretty good, but there was a transfer fee attached to it. So how much money I put over? Can you explain the transfer fees? Some of those things.
Yeah, so balance transfer cards usually have these balance transfer fees, and these can be anywhere from 3 to 5% of the balance you transfer to the card. And in certain cases, this might make the transfer not worth it. Yeah. So it depends on how much debt you're transferring and, what else is going on. You just have to put these things through a calculator before you actually do your balance transfer to make sure it's going to save you money in the end.
On those transfer fees, do I have to come up with that money in the first place, or do they just tack it on to the total balance?
They tack it on to the total balance, and it's going to happen right when your balance is transferred. So one thing you might want to look at before you transfer a balance is that the balance that you transfer and the fee itself are going to have to fit within your new credit limit on this balance transfer card. So if not all of your balance fits, they might do a partial transfer or they might deny the transfer. Okay. All of these things are possibilities, and it kind of depends on the credit card issuer.
So in the last 2 minutes we have Christy Mathern, editor at Wallet Hub, live on the line with us. Walk us through what Wallet Hub considers to be the best balance transfer credit cards out there right now.
So today, the City Simplicity card is the best option we have right now. It gives you 21 whole months to pay off balance transfers at 0% interest. It's a nice, hefty, nearly 2 years to pay off your debt. And if you transfer your balances in the first 4 months you have the card, you'll pay a 3% balance transfer fee. And after that, it'll shoot up to 5%. Okay. So they have kind of a deal on both ends there.
Okay. Is there a second
and
one?
We also have, we have a couple of other ones that are nearly as good as that. The Wells Fargo Reflect has also a 21-month 0% APR period on balance transfers. And the City Diamond Preferred also has a 21-month period. But both of these are going to have slightly higher balance transfer fees than that City Simplicity deal. So all of these are good options, and they give you a long time to pay off your debt.
Christy Mathern, thank you for joining us, editor at Wallet Hub.
Yeah. Good options, right?
It really was. I remember joining one several years ago. It did surprise me, the transfer fees. That was, I guess I didn't realize that it could be as much. When you're talking 3 to 5%, and let's say that $10,000, that's an additional $300 to $500 that's tacked on immediately.
As we were talking about this, I recalled a time when one of my credit card companies, not too long ago, sent me an email and said that they were going to offer for a short window of time, 6 months, 9 months, 0% interest. And if I wanted to take them up on that, I just had to go to the app, the actual app, and ask for it. And I did. And I was like, I don't have a balance on it, but wow,
I like zero.
I like zero. So, I mean, maybe that's another option, is to contact your bank. They might not do 0%, but they might lower your annual percentage rate. Maria Chaleos up next with all your day's news.